go.
Okay. I am recording 13, 2, 1. Dun, 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 dun.
This storm will kill you.
Look! I'm telling you! You know what I mean,
But
folks?
if rich people aren't looking out for us, who is?
It makes no difference which one of us you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed.
You're listening to the Our Take Podcast with Bryan Sherman.
He had a full head, all the way till the end. It was white, and I was hoping to get that. I was hoping to get, like, the full head, and it was really hard to cut it off.
And Spencer Rogers.
To be a good pilot, you have to be able to make good decisions, and I know what my credit score is, so I know I don't make good decisions.
This is the Our Take Podcast.
From Scary Parrot Media Studios in Ogden, Utah, it's the Our Take Podcast, episode 129. I'm Bryan.
I'm Spencer. That's a lot of episodes.
It is a lot of episodes.
That's kind of caught me off guard there for some reason.
Find us at the Our Take Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, or theourtakepodcast.com.
Do you remember, though, when we were starting off, when we were doing them like 3 or 4 times a week?
Yeah.
And then we were like twice a week, and then once a week, and then like maybe.
So I know we have people who like them often.
Yeah.
But then I was talking to Kurt.
Yeah.
And he's like, it was hard to keep up.
Right.
So I'm like, but you don't have to it's not a story.
Well,
you don't have to
some of
listen
them
to
are so
in order.
long that you can kind of.
Well, and the only thing we talk about relevant topics, but it's not like
That's true.
you don't have to listen to them in any sort of order.
But I remember at one point we're like, well, let's get like 200 episodes, and then we can start advertising, and we can really get those episodes behind us. And here, 5 years later, we're still.
We just didn't need.
Has it been 5 years?
It's
4
been
years?
4 years this fall. We didn't need advertising though; it just took off on its own.
Yeah, the hundreds and thousands, the 4.5 million.
We're 4.5
that watched that
6.
one video on TikTok, and also the 28 that watched our most recent one.
Hey, TikTok has its own flavors, okay?
People did not like the mushroom video.
I thought it was funny.
I did too.
You got to get to the end, I guess. It's June 24th, by the way. On this day in history, sometimes America takes small steps towards things. Sometimes America takes big steps towards things. On this day in history, America took a big step towards becoming Gilead with the overturning of Roe v. Wade
Now,
today.
come on. That's not fair. You're going to put this day in history as today.
It
We
is
got to
a-
wait like 20
No,
years
no.
when
It
we're
is
on
a day in
episode
history.
150.
49 years of precedent. We're going to talk about it anyway. In 2002, Africa's worst ever train disaster kills 281 people.
Always so cheery.
Crash occurred in Tanzania when a passenger train with some 1,200 passengers rolled back down Igandu Hill after its brakes had failed. Oh, shit. That's scary, man.
Trains are way more dangerous than airplanes.
Oh, way.
And you think, like, why? They're on a track. They go like a finite speed. There's not like a lot of room for.
Normally it's human error, like someone at the traffic center accidentally didn't put the track facing the right way.
Right.
This is
I
the
feel like
brakes failed.
I feel like trains should be so automated that there should never be.
Why is there even a dude in there?
Right.
It's just for jobs. I
Like
guess.
when they take a turn, there should not be a guy in there that has to slow it down. It should just slow itself down.
It should just know.
I mean, airplanes couldn't do that kind of crap.
It's
Why?
like a roller coaster.
Why can't they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, here's something happier. Kind of. It's happy. In 1901, Pablo Picasso opens his first exhibition. The 18-year-old Spanish artist was featured for the first time in Ambrose Bollard's gallery in 6 Rue Laffitte in Paris. Neither of the two art critics that visited the show thought much about the works. Picasso went on to become one of the most influential artists of all time. Was he... obviously he had an exhibition, but did he die relatively well known? Like, how most artists... I think he
don't
was
know.
well known even when he died. Because I think he died in
Are
the
there
50s.
any like super famous painters right now, like Picasso level, like
you gotta
all painters are escaping my head right now. Picasso and
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
you have to be careful with that, because in college I took a music class.
Mm.
It was intro to
Yeah, I literally slept in that class.
music. The first day, the teacher, she wasn't a professor. The teacher was like, if you haven't been listening to classical music your whole life, you're going to struggle in this class. It's like, well, what? It's intro. Anyway, I digress. The end, like the last test was kind of an essay about one of your favorite older composers, Mozart, Beethoven, whatever. Tchaikovsky. So I wrote something, and I ended it with something like, and this is why we'll never have another Mozart. You know, and she critiqued that. She's like, there are people alive today who are amazing. I'm like, look, okay, you know, should they write it for movies? Do we have any like contemporary? I'm sure there are. It's just you're not in that world.
The kind of music people don't write. I don't know. That's kind of tricky because John Williams writes a score, right? And a score, it's comprised of like 20 or 15 or 20 different songs. Some of them repeat themselves. Some of them work into each other, but they're all pretty short. You know, you go back and listen to like Tchaikovsky and Beethoven. Those things are like
hours long.
Yeah, they're super long. Some of it's boring. Some of it's like the 1812 Overture. That's my jam.
Sure.
It's 15 minutes long, and I like to
Takes
listen
a lot
to the
to
whole
get there.
thing
Yeah.
because you can listen to the end. There's a part where you can catch on right there,
Right.
and listen to the last 5 minutes,
Which is what most people hear.
But the build up to it, there's a lot of it's good. It's I don't know.
It's true. I mean, you Google it, you're not in that world. There's just too many
But
of us now.
John Williams I love John Williams.
Right.
I have tons of his stuff, but I don't know if it's.
There's only like.
I mean, he does. I don't know.
I'm sure that his music would be fun to listen to, but would it be as fun or moving if it wasn't reminding you of the movie? And I mean,
that is a tricky question.
I think some of them you could.
That is a tricky question.
Like, would you listen to Jaws? Right? Or
I don't know. That's
Superman.
That's something we'll just never know. I would be interested to know what it would be like if Beethoven was alive and he scored
if he
a
was
movie.
Writing scores,
right?
They'd be intense, man.
If go back in time. Listen, Bay. Can I call you Bay or Tobin?
Please.
I'm gonna need you to watch this. Oh my stars! What is this sorcery?
Yeah, we're gonna need to turn the volume up on the score.
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
that's right.
Just overloads the whole thing. Oh man.
One thing I don't like about the really classical music, because I just like good recordings of things, and there's just not a lot of.
It's hard, there are so many different recordings.
There are.
So you have to find the right group.
Right.
Like the London.
You do. And some people like I was listening to the 1812 Overture just a few days ago because I wanted to cry, and it makes
you needed to get
it
one
does
out?
weird things to me.
Right.
And I started listening to this one. I was like, "Oh, what is this shit? This is garbage." Fuck you.
Somebody did it on like a synth.
Some crappy high school band or something.
Right. Composer or like conductors will put their own spin on it.
Oh yeah.
I will say this. What's that famous violinist name? He's still alive and he's a conductor.
That really bugs me that I don't know his name.
Andre Roux.
That's not who I was thinking.
He's a conductor and a violinist.
Mm-hmm.
And I go often to YouTube to find a piece he plays that was written by the Anthony Hopkins.
Really?
Sir Anthony Hopkins. It's like
the actor?
Yeah, it's like a waltz. It's beautiful.
Mm.
It's a cool waltz. And he's in the crowd, and he's just like singing along like he knows it. It's really good. What is that called? Anthony
Do you
Hopkins.
You know how they bring in guest conductors for things, right? Yeah. Do they really need the conductor? Because I feel like I've talked to some musicians and they're just like
once they've learned.
He's just kind of there to.
Not once you've learned what the conductor wants.
They're not watching him. They're watching.
Right.
He's just up there like, woo!
It's called The Waltz Goes On by Anthony Hopkins. But so I will say this, having been in a band in high school, right? Once you learn exactly what it is the conductor wants, sure, there are cues if the music slows down or something like that. You certainly don't need dynamic cues, or if it's just all the same tempo, you don't necessarily need him all the time, which you'll see like a conductor do like in a jazz band, for example.
Right.
Think of Whiplash. They kind of count them off and then just walk away.
Right.
So, but they do have their own flair, their own flavor that they bring to it. But once you have it down, you have it down.
Speaking of jazz and
Not quite my
flavor
tempo.
and terrible and whatever. You're a fan of the Utah Jazz. What do you think about their new uniforms? Because it's been a hotly debated topic.
I don't know why it's debated. They're awful.
Yeah, they are.
They're awful.
They're pretty ugly.
Okay, so my first thought, I saw the tweet, so I watched the video, and actually no, I read the article first.
When you see Jordan Clarkson faking it, oh, like these are so cool.
I read the
these
article
are the greatest
first.
things I've ever seen.
And I was like, okay, they're bringing the Purple Mountains back. Not my favorite.
Yeah,
It is from my childhood, like 1997.
all
98.
uniforms from the '90s are terrible. Period.
I don't. So I saw the Purple Mountains, and I was like, I know people kind of like this. Then I kept scrolling, and I saw the yellow and black. I'm being dead serious. I thought they were junior Jazz jerseys. Like I thought they were for kids.
They look like
The only thing that I was
the
like,
cheapest. Like you go to the sports store and you're like, I need 10 jerseys.
Random
we've
numbers.
We've got these extra shitty numbers. And
Right.
Just iron them on. It's fine.
yeah. I was like, the only thing that gave it away to me was like, well, there's no sponsors, so it can't be junior Jazz jerseys. But that's what I thought they were. I did see not this coming season, but the season after, they apparently have a different Purple Mountain one that looks a little bit cooler, and apparently they're going to evolve with time.
Yeah, but isn't the Purple Mountain one just supposed to be like like the city jersey sort of, where it's just a specialty?
Well, I don't know what the NBA is doing anymore, right?
Yeah, I
because there
know.
was the city jersey.
It is. They're supposed to be like special occasions, and then
Right.
the teams were like, "F that, we're gonna wear these
Just
whenever
wear
we
'em
want."
Yeah, it's like because now it's, what do they call them? The remix
Right.
is at least what Ryan Smith's called, what the Jazz are calling them.
Right.
I don't know. I think they're ugly. Hopefully they just evolve though.
I just don't understand why you're gonna completely go away from your branding totally with black and yellow. Yellow, I guess, is,
But then
is in some of the.
Bring back purple though.
That's what I think.
Like-
Purple's just it's a retro throwback
I
that they
think
just wear whenever they.
I think the original colors were purple, gold, and green. I think.
Yeah.
I could be mistaken, but my favorite are green or the really old Jazz like.
If they were gonna do all this, they should have just rebranded the whole team. Called them the Bees.
they can't
the
think
Buzz.
They can't think of a Utah name. Man.
Well, they're doing black and yellow.
It's true.
Bees.
Maybe
Beehive State.
Maybe that's what he's planning on.
Maybe.
I did see a future jersey because it's a note, right? Like a musical note.
Yeah.
Jazz logo. I saw one that they took the ball out and made it look like an actual music note. And someone was like, "Why'd they make it look like a note?" I'm like, "Did you not know? Did you not know it's been a note this whole time? It's just been."
What do they think it was?
I don't know.
I thought it was a ball and a swish.
Yeah, I thought it was just a mark. I didn't really think about it before. But yeah, they're like, "Why'd they make
they
it a real
they missed
jazz
the whole
note?"
take note campaign.
Yeah, they're like, "I guess
There's notes in jazz.
I just saw the billboard. They're like, "Yeah, take
What
note."
does jazz have to do with a note? I don't see the correlation.
You don't read music and jazz.
I thought they were called the Jazz because of Utah's jazzy mountains. They were jazzy and pretty. Like they're just, jazz.
Jazz.
All the jazz in Utah.
No, yeah,
Is there a single jazz club in the entire state?
no. We have dueling pianos.
I think they closed that during Rona.
Oh, really? There were two
The
of them. There was the Tabernacle.
the Tabernacle, I think,
and
is
then
the one
there
that
was
closed.
Keys on Main.
That one
They're
maybe
both
still
fun.
around.
They're really fun. Jazz clubs? I don't think so.
No.
The most jazz Utah had was,
You know why?
was what's his name?
Does-
Mike Smith on
Jazz is terrible.
Mike Smith on NPR every night at midnight.
Oh.
Would play jazz from records that he That was I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Yeah.
That was the fix though.
Well, speaking of the new uniforms and how ugly they are, I got my ass stabbed today again.
Stab-assed.
Yeah, I walked up.
Is this for your back?
Yeah, I got my second round of
Is it
shots
working?
in my back. The last time the doctor told me, "Hey, this isn't gonna do that much. Like the first round is gonna be super temporary."
That's how they get you back.
That's kind of what it feels like. He's the doctor, and
It actually takes
he's charging me $760 per time.
It'll
But
take you 2 years to really notice any difference.
yeah, and so today the injections hurt a hell of a lot more than they did last time.
That's interesting.
But it already feels better than it did last time.
Did he tell you they were going to hurt worse?
No.
Did he nick a nerve again?
Yes.
Really?
I
Okay.
kind of feel like maybe he's injecting it into the nerve. I don't know if that was actually the plan,
Yeah.
but
Did I nick a nerve? Not yet. Okay, hang on.
it
Let me
it
get back in there.
it hurt bad, and but like it feels better than it did a few hours after last time. So I don't know.
So,
But
if
I do have to go in
could
for
you
one more
compare
round.
the pain to your chronic pain to 2 days ago till now?
So
Is it better now than it was?
the
2
pain
days
that
ago?
I was feeling was reminiscent to when back in October when it was unbearable.
When
Like
he was injecting you.
it was weird. It was like my leg was seizing up and I could just feel this crazy sensation in my nerve.
Yeah.
And my muscles were tensed up like crazy. And
So it's like when you injured it.
yeah,
That's what it felt like.
it
while
felt
he was
like the few
injecting you.
days that I almost wanted to pee the bed. It hurt so bad.
Yeah.
But then it was after, it was fine. But
Interesting. So now it feels good though.
now it feels a lot better than it did. So
1 to 10.
it's
10 being childbirth, or a big poop.
I didn't even know I was pregnant. It only hurts like a 3 or 4 right now. It's
All right.
totally manageable. I mean, I'm not gonna go on like a run or anything.
What,
but
is it supposed to go even lower as you
I
continue?
think
to get
so. I think so.
these? I hope so.
I only have to get one more round, and then hopefully it'll be staved off for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Speaking of new treatment,
Yeah.
so I, have depression and anxiety for a long time.
Right.
I have apparently
You came out of the womb anxious. You're
did.
like, what is this?
so this to give you guys an example of how on edge I am. I got out. It's the middle of the day right now. I got out of my car at Spencer's house. It's beautiful. There's birds chirping, blue sky. It looks like Ferris Bueller's Day Off out there. And Spencer leans out his door and quietly says, "Hey, you didn't bring the snack van." And I went, "Ha!"
To be fair, this is Ogden,
It is Ogden.
and that could be the same words that a robber. Hey, you didn't bring the snack van. Where the hell is my money?
Could be the last words you
Give me
hear.
my money.
Last words you hear before the
But
gun,
what am I gonna eat tonight?
before the trigger clicks in Ogden. Anyway, so my doctor Ethan he's like, I'm sick of treating you. No, he's like this. We got to get this fixed. It's just enough. And so he sent me to the psychiatry department at Tanner. And
It's all a racket there, He sent me to another doctor. They're taking the rounds $1,700 later.
Each visit.
Like,
Well,
it doesn't feel any better. Well, we better send you back to
Right.
Dr. Farnsworth.
So I got a story about this, right? So I have, I guess, treatment-resistant depression, which then qualifies me for what's called TMS, transcranial masturbation. Just kidding.
I didn't know. I was this close to being ready to believe you. What we do?
Someone masturbates me.
We've got this little thing, and it just
It's actually just
kind of like a fleshlight.
It's a fleshlight.
We don't call it that. It's a medical grade fleshlight.
I went in the first time and they're like, "Ours is broken. We have this guy here is
Go
going
to
do
Blue
it.
Boutique down the street.
This guy here is going to do it manually for you."
Get the extra small.
Yes. So it's transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Yeah.
And it's really, I don't know if it's working. I have to go for 36 weekdays in a row. So I've done 5.
Wait, you have to go every day?
Every weekday.
Okay.
It's only like a 3-minute treatment.
Oh.
Right? Just a hand job. Just enough
3 minutes. After the third day, you might be kind of like, that's going to take more than 3 minutes.
It's just too fitting. So anyway, so the first time you go, the psychiatrist comes in and he puts a wand on your head, and it's electromagnetic.
This is bullshit.
Dude, it's so good. It's so fitting.
Are they just sending you to TSA?
It's actually, it's just a magnetic. Oh no. So anyway, he clicks a button and it pulses an electromagnet.
Okay.
And he did that to find the right spot on my head for the treatment. They put sensors on my thumb, and when my thumb twitched, that's how he knows how strong it should be.
Oh, weird.
But he couldn't get my thumb to twitch, but my face was. I was like winking, and he's like, "Is that?" I'm like, "Did you feel that in your eyebrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, I felt that in my eyebrow." And he finally gets to the spot that makes my jaw kind of click, right? I was like,
this is weird.
all right. He's like, well, okay, so that's where it's going to be. They put this thing on my head every time I go to, like, map my head. They have an infrared camera that helps them find the spot. And the way it works is that wand is just used to find the spot. And then they put a big one next to your head, and they put a pad against your other cheek to hold you in place. And it just goes just 10 times in a row.
And
then breaks
the
for
MRI?
Yeah, and then breaks for like 10 seconds, and then it does it again for 3 minutes straight. But each pulse, it feels like someone's tapping your head, and it made my jaw tap. So, like, it makes my jaw close because it's stimulating that part of my brain that makes my jaw close. The whole point is, if you're treatment resistant, to like for medications.
Uh-huh.
Most antidepressants, SSRIs, try and make the serotonin you already have be more effective.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So your neuron releases serotonin. The drugs prevent the neuron from sucking it back up. So it uses all the endogenous serotonin that you have. We don't have a way of putting serotonin in the brain because nothing can get past the blood-brain barrier that is a serotonin metabolite or whatever, right? You can't just inject serotonin in the blood. It won't go through the blood-brain barrier in the blood vessels up there. The way you can with like dopamine to treat Parkinson's, you can.
Right.
So this apparently is supposed to stimulate the neurons into creating more serotonin. So the thought is that I legitimately don't have enough, which is why pills don't work. So we need to get your brain to create more. Weird, right?
And you were 5 days in, and any noticeable?
Not
Oh,
really.
the depression's kind of weird that way.
It's
It's not
super weird.
something that.
And one of the problems
It's just
is
one day you're like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. It is really weird, especially when it's like comorbid with anxiety like me.
Right.
And the doc did warn me. He's like, 2 weeks in is usually when we see people's anxiety go up. So we'll have to control that with your anxiety meds that you already have and see if your depression goes down. So next week, if I'm just an asshole, tell me, because it's probably my anxiety getting out of hand during this treatment. So yeah, I go for 3 minutes a day, every weekday for like 6 or 7 weeks. I don't know, and then I guess they reevaluate. I was reading a pamphlet about it though they had, and it turns out you can receive treatment from anywhere from 3 minutes to 37 minutes. I was like, dude, if I have to sit in this chair, I mean, if it got rid of my depression, I guess I would. But a half an hour, like, you know,
It would drive you insane, right? You're like, man, my depression's gone, but I kind of want to shoot up everybody now.
So yeah, you mean your jaw's going, you feel like someone's tapping on your head. So we'll see if it works. They give me a little question. They give me the PHQ-9 every week, but then they give me a smaller like 3-question thing at the beginning of each session, like, what's your mood today? 1 to 10. Do you feel like this is working? You know, and each day so far I'm like, not sure.
Unknown.
My mood today is contempt. I don't know what to put, you know? I think today I put frustrated because of the stupid fucking Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So that's my new treatment aside from therapy.
Yeah, how's that going?
He's a good guy. I like him. I've seen him 3 times. And we're going to talk about SCOTUS later, right? And abortion. But
Yeah.
he's working with me on, he's like, why?
Why are you so angry?
He's basically like, why do you care so much?
You are pretty
know,
altruistic.
It's not even altruistic, right? That's not necessarily altruistic. It's just me. I'm just kind of passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Can you help me turn it off?
I've got this magnet.
No. Different one. Goes on the other side of your head. So I'm working on that. Because I don't know. I'm like, that's why I came to you, man. Like, I don't want to be so pissed at the
You know
Supreme
what the
Court's
worst part
ruling,
is?
but
I used to not care until I started hanging out with you. And now I'm like,
I fucking care about everything. Yeah, it's like I don't want to feel so passionate that I put, a Black Lives Matter sign in my lawn, or that I read the Supreme Court's decision on this. I don't
you read
want
the
to.
whole
Like,
thing?
I'm like halfway through it.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I got through the syllabus and then I started the actual. It's a nightmare. They're so fucking full of shit. I never thought I would read a SCOTUS opinion and be like, well, there's an inconsistency. There's an inconsistency. There's a contradiction. That's hypocritical. Like, I never thought I would do that. We'll talk about it later, though. So that's my TMS treatment, though.
Well, so recently I have been hyper emotional about everything, which I've come to find out is kind of it never leaves. It's like a lasting side effect of going off of these medicines. But it's the weirdest thing, and I think I'm going to have to get back on them because I've been...
Just do a much lower dose.
Yeah, I'm not going to take 2 of them. I'm going to go to 1. Yeah. I don't know. My question is, should I go back to the doctor? I've got 3 months' worth down there. Should I just...
Well, it was a cheap drug, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm already like
honestly,
$1,700 in debt to Tanner Clinic. What's another 80?
You mean you already have some?
Yeah, I've got like 3 months' worth.
You could email him.
Be like, hey.
Yeah, and then he shouldn't charge you. You know,
Yeah, right.
he might say, yeah, I want to see you, or he might say, go ahead and try it and come see me in 4-6 weeks.
I'll just ask Ethan what he thinks.
Good. I mean, there's certainly value in seeing and getting second opinions. It's
Right,
you
right.
know, it's just is what it is.
But it's getting to the point where, like, I cry over weird things. Well, I don't know if they're weird, but like today, the air show is here tomorrow,
Right.
which I am super excited about.
fucking Thunderbirds were out practicing.
They were.
today.
Everyone
Oh
was
my gosh.
practicing today, and I was out by there getting my ass stabbed.
Yeah.
And I'm watching the F-35 pilot. She's doing her practice demo, and the afterburner, she just does this crazy slide, and I'm starting to cry. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love this.
And it's not like a America freedom cry. Just you love airplanes.
Yeah, I guess it's
And
like
it's just so
I guess
cool.
it's the kind of when you thought your daughter was kidnapped, but then you find out she's alive. I don't know. It's a happy.
It's like Liam Neeson on Taken.
Yeah, it's like this is making me so happy
Right.
that I have to cry,
It's a happy cry.
and I don't love that because people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, I don't know, man. I'm not sad. I don't know what's happening, but it happens a lot.
Right.
Like,
It's hyper emotional is a good word
like
for it.
like I read a story about a bird on TikTok, and I'm on the toilet taking a dump, crying.
Twerking.
Or I went and watched, because I watch movies on the weekend by myself. Now I went to watch Lightyear last weekend, which was pretty fun, and I'm like, oh my God, Buzz. It's getting it's fine. I don't hate it, but it's kind of just
No, it's a burden.
but on top of that, I'm also just feeling like
Do you also feel the extreme sadness?
I'm getting
You
to that
swing
point.
down
Like
low?
I have been getting.
Yeah.
You know what happens with me is I start tearing myself down, and that's when I know I'm like, oh, I probably should get back on, because I will just tear myself down.
Just negative
Like,
thoughts.
these people hate me. Why do I do this? Everyone hates me. I'm ugly. I'm terrible. And then I'm like,
Right.
then I'm like, no, I'm fine. We'll do it live. But I think maybe I should try again on this stuff. I don't know.
There is an easy trick. Well, it's not. I don't know if it's easy, but
Meth?
there is a meth.
I've got a magnet right here.
It's similar to a magnet. It's automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Right. They call them ants. You put an elastic on your wrist, and every time you start talking shit to yourself, you flick it.
Yeah, ants. I have ants.
It's supposed to kind of help. I don't know. It's just.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
It's real.
You know-
I like talking about it. I know it's personal, but I like talking about it
this
because
is-
people should hear.
Nah, it doesn't bother me to talk
But
about it.
the problem is some people won't talk about it to the point of not seeking treatment. Right?
Right.
If you don't want to talk about it, fine, but you should please get some treatment. You don't have to tell anyone,
But
But some people
really
just don't want to admit to themselves at all.
yeah, I
you know?
guess.
Like guy I work with.
Yeah.
I talk to him every day, a couple hours a day, and I was talking to him about this treatment and had like anxiety. He's like, he's like maybe he got 20 years on us, a little bit older than us, maybe 25. He's like, I think I've had that my whole life. I'm like, well, you are in sales. Hello.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Everything's ringing.
Yeah, it's ringing.
Someone from
through.
New Jersey is calling me. I assume it's some Guido scamming me.
You did a
Why is this?
Gallup poll or something.
I don't
Did you
know.
think it was a touchscreen for a sec?
No, I was about to try. You
Right.
saw I was about to try,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
There's a screen behind Spencer, just a Mac computer desktop, and he reached up to push reject.
I did. I caught myself.
He did catch himself.
I have done that before, but
Yeah.
I did catch myself.
Have you ever looked at a real picture and pinched to zoom? Like the Sports
No.
Illustrated swimsuit
No.
edition? You'd like,
That is something I will do eventually, I'm sure. But honestly, I can't think of a time recently that I haven't been on a screen
true,
when I'm
yeah.
looking at a picture.
there's like, they still print magazines?
Yeah, I'm in line at the grocery store like, ugh.
Zoom.
What the hell is this?
Anyway, I just want, if there's anybody out there that listens and they don't feel like this is real enough to get themselves help, right? I want them to know that you can ask for
Right.
help. Talk to your doctor. Call your EAP. Most companies have an EAP now.
I do have one of those.
Anyway,
Speaking of my job, the airlines. We were talking about at the beginning of the episode before we got on how little I get paid.
Yeah. No,
and how they haven't done anything about it.
they should be ashamed of themselves.
And then I was like, well, yeah, probably, but also they're really having struggles right now paying pilots and flight attendants, especially pilots. Flight attendants, to a slightly lesser extent, there's still a problem there, but mostly pilots. And the airlines keep sticking it to each other. And
like stealing pilots? Or-
that's part of it. But hold on. So a few months ago, and a lot of people don't know this, but flight attendants, they only get paid once the cabin door is shut.
It's amazing.
Which is really stupid.
Right.
It's been like that forever.
Right. They're paid hourly.
The unions have accepted it over and over and over again. And Delta, earlier in the year, added to their new flight attendant contract that they're going to pay them.
Like when
they
soon as
step
get
on the plane.
Yeah, so when you're getting on the
It's-
plane boarding,
it is like a half rate or something.
that's bullshit.
But
it's when you're boarding and they're so incredibly cordial.
Right.
They're not getting paid right then.
No. Though when they're serving first class drinks, that what they have to do, it's weird.
Well, you know
I don't
why
know.
you know how the union negotiated it.
Huh.
The airlines were like, well, we'll just pay them less, or you can keep it the way it is.
Right.
And the union's like,
I mean, they do get paid more per hour than a normal person because they work less.
right. Well, I mean, they're on a plane all day.
Right.
It's not fun. Like,
But it's not that. It's not like they don't get paid great.
yeah.
I mean, they're okay, but
yeah, Delta. I heard that announcement.
but I just know the CEO at United was like,
Right. Yeah, he called him up. Yeah, they're buddies. They're buddies. He called up. He's like, George, what the fuck, man? I don't know. The union's got me by the balls, bro.
Now, typically, regional pilots get paid considerably less than mainline pilots. Like we're a regional. Us, Republic, Mesa. There's quite a few regionals that people don't even know about because they're all branded as other airlines.
Is that really the reason the prices are lower, though?
What do you mean?
Like, because the flights on regional jets are usually less expensive, right?
Not necessarily.
So
Sometimes
there's
they're
actually
more
no reason.
expensive. The reason is they can get away with it because you in order to get flight experience, you pretty much have to start with a regional. No mainline is taking a pilot straight out of flight school.
What if a regional paid more though than a mainline? Is there a pride issue there that pilots want to fly for a mainline? Money aside?
Not necessarily. There's tons of factors that go into it.
Sure.
Some people never end up flying for a mainline because they get so comfortable.
Right.
It's not like they don't get paid anything at the regionals. They
career.
used to not get paid anything.
Right.
Back when I was in flight school, the regional pilots started at $26 an hour, and you have to keep in mind they only work 80 hours a month.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Now it's up to like 70 and 80 years. It's
Okay.
more. But
So the main lines won't hire them until they have
you
regional.
have to have experience flying, complex aircraft. And they won't typically take you unless you are a captain of a regional. So you're going to have to stay at the regional for probably 5 years, maybe.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off, but what was the plane you were on with the rough landing? Was that regional?
No,
That was
that
mainline.
was mainline
And you were
Delta.
thinking that the regional
No,
co-pilot?
no. So in order to, when you either change planes or become a captain, you have to go on initial operating experience.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking that the guy that did the landing probably was on his initial operating experience, meaning
Gotcha.
he hasn't really flied that plane before in real life.
Right.
Or maybe he's just a bad pilot, or maybe it
Just
was a
doesn't
rough
care.
night, or he didn't care, or I don't know.
Did you see that red air?
Yeah, it was
Dude,
crazy.
Anyway, yeah. We'll
Anyway, so our pilots, they get paid much more better now.
Yeah.
I mean, enough where some of them end up staying because everything goes by seniority.
Sure.
Like your schedule, you have to bid for certain schedules, and if you get senior enough, you
don't want to give it up. Going to a
you can work
mainline.
like 3 days a week, or
Right.
you get to pick your trips. You can do the kind of trips where you end up home every night.
Right.
And
So
so some people take quality of life over the extra pay.
Right. What's with the 80 hours? Is that a law?
Yeah.
They can't fly more than 80 hours in a month.
Right.
In the air?
Yeah. Well, that's how they get paid too.
So
they get paid when the engine turns on.
We got to turn the shit on right now. So
That-
do they try and pack that in sometimes?
What do you
If
mean?
you had seniority, can you pack that in 2 weeks and take 2 weeks off?
No. There's
There's a per
there's
week.
limitations
per week limit.
per day or per I can't remember what
They
they
don't-
all are.
the
but-
government doesn't want them falling asleep
Right.
at the yoke,
Right.
so to speak.
Even though they probably do anyway. It
Sure,
flies
why not? It's
itself.
the autopilot. There's a bell that'll go off if something goes wrong.
Yeah. But anyway, so America, there's SkyWest. We're wholly owned. We're SkyWest. We're our own company. We're the
Independent.
biggest regional, but all the major airlines also, most of them have their own wholly owned, where they own a regional airline. Like
A subsidiary.
Delta owns Endeavor,
Okay.
American owns Envoy and Piedmont, and United owns like it's
Right.
just I don't know, Air
Where does,
Wisconsin and all sorts of stuff.
Where does like JetBlue fit in there?
JetBlue's their own deal.
Are they regional?
No.
'Cause
They're considered low cost.
Low cost. They're
Even
not
though they're
international,
not
though, are they?
really. They are now,
They are?
actually. So they might have actually bumped out
Mexico?
of low cost. No, they're flying to London.
Okay. Well, they
Um,
should. If they can fly from LA to New York, they should be.
Yeah,
able to fly.
no, they're not using bigger planes. They're using standard because it's not that. Turns out it's not.
It's not that
it's not
far,
that bad of
right.
a flight. So American Airlines, wholly owned Piedmont and Envoy, they just raised their regional airlines to almost as close as.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Gee.
and on top of that, so the biggest problem most airlines are having, including SkyWest, is the lack of check airmen. So the people who do IOE, who are the trainers, after you've gone through your training, your sim, they're the ones that are check you off so you can fly this airplane.
Do they
And
go
we
up-
only have like 7 of them.
Do they go up like in an empty plane with them?
No, God, no,
They don't ever do that.
no. That's what the sim is for.
Okay. So, but do
Um,
they go up? Do they go up on the first flight?
Yeah, they're with them.
Okay.
And so we don't have everyone's missing check airmen, and in
That's
order
weird.
to incentivize check airmen, Piedmont is paying them $470 an hour.
What?
It's not permanent; it's only for like the next 3 years.
But
I know that's another one where United was like, "What the fuck? What the hell?"
that's like $900,000 a year
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot.
at full time anyway. At full time rates, that's like.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Well, what are the requirements to be the check?
I mean, you could be pretty experienced. You've got to be a captain and go through all the training.
Certain
and
amount of
everything.
hours
Yeah,
on
yeah,
each
yeah.
plane.
So people are trying to jump ship, and it's just kind of turning into this whole cluster because
it shows where they pinched pennies in the past.
right,
Like we can fuck over those guys. There's only like 10 of them.
right.
Now they're like, well, it's not going to cost us that much to pay these guys
Oh, we have-
$500 an hour.
SkyWest has a new, is going to be giving a new pilot pay package later in the year. We don't know what is. I don't know what it's going to be, but I can't imagine it'll be.
I mean-
there, but
Earlier this year, you spoke about SkyWest earnings.
well,
still,
it's it's the whole industry is that
they're
way.
still
It's
making
not-
so much money.
No, they're not. We
Oh.
didn't. We haven't turned. We
Oh, I thought you said SkyWest did.
no. We just haven't gone under.
You're not quite. You're
Yeah,
you're not quite
we
in the
turned
black.
like a very very minimal profit last
Oh,
last
okay.
quarter.
Okay, I misremembered
Um,
then.
But the whole thing is that Piedmont and Envoy, they're kind of turning. It's a track. You go here and then you go straight to American, and Endeavor is the same way. We are tracked up like everybody.
It's like a double A team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just been this whole mess because there's not enough like. When I was in Chicago, I talked to a pilot that was just doing her initial operating experience. And what month is it? It was May, but she got through training in November. That's how far behind we are getting them to the front lines.
What
to
did she do for?
nothing. They're just waiting.
Do they get paid?
Yeah.
So, what's the deal with the pilot shortage? Is there also being a pilot like a boomer job, and they all retired during COVID?
Well, we've known there's going to be a pilot shortage. We've
Right.
known that for a while. That's why back in 2000, I want to say 8, maybe even 10, they raised the age from 60 to 65. That when you have to retire.
Okay.
So we've known this is going to be a problem. COVID it moved it along
They all retired.
rapidly because
Right.
they were offering early retirement to everybody, and they all left. And then demands come back faster
man.
than
That's short-sighted, right? Because
yeah.
especially considering that so many people in the decision-making tree were thinking
Well-
that COVID wasn't going to last long.
And it's kind of like I don't know what you do. You either pay the pilots to hang around.
Right.
I don't know.
It's tough. It's
Or
tough.
maybe this.
They just assumed they could recruit the shit out of people.
Well, and it goes all the way to the flight schools, right? Because you have flight schools, and they're in order to really get with the regional, you have to have gone through all your training and been an instructor there for a while. So all their instructors are leaving to become regional pilots. So they're having a hard time getting instructors that can get the other pilots through, and then we're having a hard time retaining pilots because they're snapping our pilots up like that. It's
Right.
one of our we put a guy through all the way through his captain training, which is it's a months long plus process, very expensive. He got 7 hours of pilot and command time and got hired by United.
So the regional lines are going to start to put they're going to put stipulations in contracts.
Oh, that's already started. It's already
Yeah.
been.
I'm surprised that
we
wasn't
had
already
this.
there.
So we recently started this pathway program with Southwest, and it almost fell through because they hired a shitload of pilots like right away.
They just took them before
But
deal was
the
signed.
problem is it's all this trickle down because they take all our pilots. We fly all their routes, and so if we can't fly their routes, then they can't fly their routes because we fly all their connecting routes.
So then the pilots end up not flying anyway.
It's just like this whole freaking disaster.
It's like a logistics nightmare, man.
And so I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah, I would think that
If you're wondering, because the news keeps talking about how the airlines are screwing up and they're not, but it's not 100% their fault. It might have been short-sighted to let people go and what have you, but it's this whole trickle-down thing, and it's kind of the airlines overscheduling is their fault.
the only time that trickle down works is when it's wrong. Yeah, I'm surprised they've never had contracts before. Like, no, if we train you, got to give us a year or two.
Well, they actually back in the beginning of the year they offered $30,000 or $40,000 bonus to stay for 5 years.
All right.
For captains.
How come you never wanted to do that?
I'm not very good at flying. No, the honest to God main reason is I started taking antidepressants, and you can't.
Oh, really?
It's actually a whole hotly debated
That's dumb.
thing within the aviation industry that we've probably talked about before.
I can understand if you were.
But the issue there's lots to it. There's a lot
of ignorance.
There is, and the FAA knows that, and I know they're working on things. But the problem is that if you don't ever tell your doctor, you can even get antidepressants, from another doctor and not tell your FAA doctor.
Right.
So either you're taking them anyway, or you're not taking them, which is even worse.
Right.
Right? And they point to the FAA and other things will point to that to certain flights, like the guy in
the one anecdote
that flew the airplane into the
Right.
mountain.
The
full
one
of people,
anecdote out
right?
of-
And depression is bad, and a lot of people kill themselves, but not a lot of people get to the point where they're so depressed that not only do they think they shouldn't live, that they think life's not worth living for everyone.
For everyone.
And that's not as common as.
Frankly, if you are that worried about it, it's okay to ask.
Right.
Right. Like, you can work that out. We have to know because other people's lives are on the line.
Right.
We need to, so you give them like the PHQ-9, for example, has a question in there about, do you have any thoughts about self-harm, suicide, or that you'd be better off dead?
Right. They do
Right.
that.
So-
But I mean, it's not like you're going to answer honestly.
So that's the interesting thing. Most people who are that suicidal, unless they have a really thought-out plan, like maybe this pilot did, right?
Right.
Unless you have a really well-thought-out plan, you're generally kind of honest about it, right? If you just kind of like, yeah. I mean, unless you knew you'd be fired.
Right.
Then if there's another incentive there, right? A disincentive. But, the whole antidepressants cause suicide, that's only in youth.
Right.
Like teenage to like 20,
Well,
21, 22.
it is. It's silly, and it's a known. Like it's. Hopefully, it gets addressed eventually. It's the FAA,
It's not
so
like
everything they do
the
is
federal
slow.
government's never looked at
Right.
science before.
I mean, currently, as of 2020, and this number's obviously changed a lot, but there's 103,879 commercial pilots in the U.S.
Okay.
And out of them, none of them have depression.
Yeah, I bet.
Right?
I bet.
Not a single one of them.
They are just
Not a single one of them is an alcoholic or over-medicates or does cocaine or, anything like that. They're all just super clean, chill, no problems in the world kind of people.
You should test them all, question them all, and then you put a depressed pilot with a non-depressed co-pilot.
I think that might get into some sort of HIPAA, some sort of civil liberties. I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. In my opinion, there are way worse things to worry about when it comes to my pilot. I would much rather have him be medicated than severely depressed.
I mean,
that means if you're severely depressed,
there's
you're
really
usually tired.
At this point, now that as far as we've come, as in knowing mental illness and stuff, there's really not much of a excuse.
They're gonna be forced.
And I know that they are working on addressing it, and they're gonna have to because, the more pilots they bump for being depressed, the more screwed we are.
Do the pilots have a union?
It depends on the airline.
If the unions were smart, they would ask their pilots.
Right.
Right. And you have to trust your union, but generally you can, and then the union can bargain that. Well, turns out we surveyed our pilots, and 25% of them, just like the general public, have experienced some form of depression in the last 5 years.
Right.
You guys need to change your ways here.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Hopefully something will come of it eventually. Yeah. Speaking of flights, though, real quick, Yellowstone.
Floods, flights, FL.
Well, so here a few weeks ago, remember I went to Denver.
Yeah.
And I was flying back, and I sat next to this guy. I didn't say anything the whole flight, and then I'm sitting in the window seat, and he starts looking over me out the window. I'm like, "Do you want to switch?" He's like, "No, I've just never seen."
No, I'll just put my hand in your
crotch.
crotch.
It was fine. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen the approach to Salt Lake 100 times.
Right.
I don't, if he wants to switch real quick, it's totally cool with me. But he's like, "No, is that Park City?" And he's speaking with the English accent. I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, I asked him where he's from. He's like, "I'm from the UK." And
California.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
California. I can't do an English accent. Anyway, and I get to talking to him just on our descent and our way into Salt Lake. And he's like, I asked him what he's doing. And, because he asked where Park City was. It's actually right there tucked around that mountain. He's like, we're going to be driving there tomorrow. We're going on a road trip to Yellowstone.
Oh, no.
And he's like, yeah, we were supposed to go in 2020. And we've been putting it off, and we finally get to go. I'm like, oh, you're going to love Yellowstone.
And is this like
a few days later,
before?
Yellowstone is underwater. It is flooded. The roads are gone.
Yeah.
It is just, I'm like,
Old Faithful collapsed in on itself.
Like,
200
wow,
people died.
This is right about the time they should be getting there.
You see him on the news. Holy shit, that's the Englishman I met.
Like, oh man, I feel bad.
That's
that
freaking
sucks,
funny.
Man.
They reopened it pretty quick, obviously.
No, they just barely reopened it yesterday. It's been like 2 weeks.
But did you see the road?
The roads are gone.
Yeah. So what I meant was, I didn't think they were going to open it for like 2 years.
I'm sure they got workarounds for. I just don't know how you rebuild a road where the cliff that the road was sitting on is gone.
They'll probably have to reblast.
Right.
Reblast it back out. Or
build a bridge
bring in some earth.
They better put those buffalo to work.
Yeah.
Those they're all robots. They're robot buffaloes.
You can tell they look just like the rhino that Jim Carrey was in. Until they charge that old woman who's always trying to take a picture.
We did talk about
don't.
Well, I asked him about. I was like, "What's it like living so close to Ukraine?" He's like, "It's freaking weird, man."
In England?
Yeah, I don't remember why he said something about Russia, and I was like, "Yeah, what's it like living in the UK? Right there." And he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty crazy. You don't think about it, but some days you're like, shit, that's really close. That's really close to us." And then we talked about gas. That's kind of weird. And he's like, he asked how much gas was. I'm like, oh man, it's like $5 a gallon. He's like, blimey. No, I don't know.
Blimey. That's funny. Should have been like, how's the Queen?
Yeah. Did I say anything about the Queen? It was right during Jubilee, I think. Anyway, Jubilee. The Queen's her 75th, or I don't know what it was. But I'm annoyed with politics in general right now, of course.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden, his approval ratings are just in the toilet, and
As
not
they
for bad
should be.
reasons.
Yeah, as they
He's
should
not.
be.
He's basically like Jimmy Carter Part 2. Like
Right.
things aren't going well, and this whole gas tax thing. I just want to be like, yeah, thanks, Uncle Joe.
No.
Appreciate the $1.80 that I'm gonna save on gas.
On 10 gallons, right?
Yeah.
This isn't 18 cents a
Yeah.
gallon.
Like, are you for real right now, Joe?
Right.
This is more like a fuck you than anything. Oh, I can take the gas tax away, 18 cents. Cha 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 cha.
Yeah.
Like,
No, what he
come
should
on, bro.
do, I mean, I don't know if he has the authority, but they should take all tax if they could. Like, because the biggest one is state tax. State gas tax is usually kind of hefty.
Yeah, there's no way that
But-
that would ever fly. Plus, it's just kind of stupid. It's like taking away the tax. It's typical tax and spend Democrats.
Well, guess
They're
who
taking
has-
away the tax that actually does build roads and everything.
Right.
And for no reason.
After we
It's
pass
not
the-
going to do anything.
Right, after
It's
we
not-
pass the $1 trillion.
It's not going to do anything. $1.80, Joe?
No, yeah, it's not. I do find it funny that I found on Show of Hands, that
Mhm.
polling app.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, someone asked about that, and it spreads it out by demographic and how
Mhm.
they voted. You know, the majority of Republicans were opposed to getting rid of the gas tax. I was like, well, that's weird.
Don't you love to
I
get
thought
rid of
you wanted
taxes?
to- I mean, I know it's not much. I know it's tiny, but I thought for sure you guys would be like, yeah, let's get rid of tax.
That's so
But
weird.
Anyway, yeah, America has like the largest oil reserve
We do.
in the entire world.
And despite we are the biggest producer too,
Yeah.
which I don't understand why we were ever buying oil from other countries.
so
is-
my brother Nick has a theory.
Uh-huh.
It's a bit of a conspiracy, but
Uh-huh.
it makes sense. And his theory was, we knew that the world was going to run out of oil. We knew that the world would run out eventually.
Uh-huh.
We didn't think electric cars would come as soon as they did. And when I'm saying we, as in like American economical professionals and politicians early,
Mm-hmm.
you're right, in the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and a little bit in. His theory is that we build up a giant store of oil and then continue to buy it until the rest of the world runs out, and then we can sell ours for premium.
Freaking dick move right
It
there.
is a dick move, and I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Do you think we'd run out before?
Well, that was what they were thinking. They were like, shit, people keep finding it. Right? Turns out there's like a shit ton under the ice in Russia. Now we're completely fucked. This idea's going. And then here comes Elon Musk with his electric cars. Now we're really fucked. We don't got a shit. We don't have any lithium. We got to go to Ukraine
Yeah, I
to get
know.
our lithium.
Freaking Elon, he's such a bad CEO. Did you see him? His talking about his gigafactories.
Dude, he is.
They're money furnaces.
he's
And you wonder why I think Tesla is a sketchy car or a sketchy company.
he's the. I've said it all along. He is one of the admins to our sim, and he just came down here to fuck around. Right? He just plugged
Or
in.
he's just really on the spectrum
If,
and
if you really need it, if you
happened to
really
get
need the
rich.
picture, just imagine the Matrix. He plugged himself in, and he came down just to fuck shit up. You know,
right.
like make me a billionaire, make me have like the best idea in the world. PayPal. You know, it'll make a few $1 billion, and then I'll change the cars to something new. Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'd go Rivian. Go Rivian or one of these other companies.
those Rivian trucks are cool.
They're pretty slick.
Remind me, Rivian was it Amazon and Ford? Was that Rivian? It was like an Amazon Ford team up, but then Ford, as soon as it was designed, Ford's like, okay, we're out.
Maybe.
I think so. But they are cool trucks.
Yeah, Ford's about to release their electric F-150, not hybrid, fully electric.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, once electric cars are in the $20,000 range,
It's done.
it'll take off. But it's just
Well, even with inflation, we could go into 30,000, and
you're right.
people will start to buy. They'll start to lease again.
That's true.
So
I'll get one eventually. That'll
Yeah.
be my next one. Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and I guess we'll get into
custom hats.
sure.
We don't have to.
We'll save that for after the break.
Okay.
Well, that'll be our ending topic.
So I talked about my therapist asking me not to care so much.
Right.
Actually, he didn't say don't care. He asked me why I do care.
Right.
And I said, I don't think you really have a choice about what you care about, which just lends to a very philosophical conversation in your head, which is, what do I choose to care about? Right? Like, it's really hard for me to. I didn't even look at the news today. Ashley showed me the headline on her phone about SCOTUS overturning Roe. And so then I was like, okay, I got to go read it now. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it right there. That's the behavior I got to change is maybe I got to read it now. No, I don't. I don't have to go read it right now.
I will say that back in the day, I was a lot just happier,
Yeah.
pro-America, just kind of like, yeah, man, it's great. Everything here is great. It's wonderful.
So
You start reading things, it ruins everything.
So
Same with religion.
I could be wrong, but let me give you what I understand is the brief history of Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. All right? Roe v. Wade took the power away from the states for abortion bans up to the end of the second trimester or to the point of viability, right?
Right.
And because the way laws are written, they had to get specific. So I believe it was written specific at the time, like 28 weeks or something like that. So states could not place any legislation before that regulating abortion. Okay? 1973. In 1992 is when Casey versus Planned Parenthood was decided. And essentially that case was, do we uphold the precedent of Roe v. Wade?
Right.
And they said yes. Okay? I haven't read those two opinions yet. I plan on it because now I'm interested because today the conservative justices minus John Roberts.
Oh, I didn't know he sided with the Roe.
Yeah. Voted to overturn Roe v. Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood in this opinion regarding a Mississippi gestational law about, I think their law is 15 weeks.
Okay.
So this is huge. Okay, I want to play you a couple clips.
Real quick, there's I just opened up Politico.
Yeah.
And there's protesters, and there's a female protester, and she has tape over her mouth.
Yeah.
And it's painter's tape. If you're gonna do it,
you gotta go full duct tape, man.
Freaking commit, man.
Need some hurricane tape. Yeah. Okay, so
Gorilla Glue tape.
I'm gonna play you clips. I think I'm hooked to Bluetooth. Make sure my volume's up there. Yep. Of Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh at their confirmation hearings. Right quick, okay. This is Neil Gorsuch.
Correctly.
There we go.
Senator, again, I would tell you.
Just Chuck Grassley asking
Can you tell me whether Roe was decided correctly?
Senator, again, I would tell you that Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent in the United States Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed. The reliance interest considerations are important there, and all of the other factors that go into analyzing precedent have to be considered. It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Okay, what he's talking about there, that's very careful language he's using. Obviously, he's not going to answer this question directly. But what he's talking about is the reliance on the precedent, meaning was the precedent decided correctly?
Right.
Based on certain things, especially Casey versus Planned Parenthood, because it upheld Roe v. Wade. And you'll hear Brett Kavanaugh in a second refer to that as precedent upon precedent. Because all of these senators want to know, are you going to overturn this? Even the Republicans, a lot of the Republicans on these committees were like, I'm not sure that we should fuck with that. You know? Some of them do. Lindsey Graham, fucker. So anyway, I'll continue with Neil Gorsuch.
It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
And in my opening remarks, I indicated that if anything had super precedent, Roe did in terms of the numbers, and I've put that in the record. Here's why it becomes of concern. The president said that he would appoint someone who would overturn Roe. You pointed out to me that you viewed precedent in a serious way in that it added stability to the law. Could you elaborate on the point that you made in my office on that?
Part of the value of precedent, it has lots of value. It has value in and of itself because it's our history. And our history has value intrinsically.
Okay, that's a good point. As I started to read the opinion before I came over here, and one of the things they do when evaluating precedent is they look back at the history and traditions of the country.
Right.
It's funny that Neil would use that word here because he's implying now that this precedent is history.
Right.
That is part of our history.
Right.
I.e., it's fine. It should stand.
Right.
Right? Well, he voted against it today. So just interesting that he would use that word.
But
Well,
our history.
I've never known Republicans.
Our history has
to-
value intrinsically. But it also has an instrumental value in this sense. It adds to the determinacy of law.
Okay, that's all I'm going to play of Neil. He goes on to kind of not answer the question, but the vibe that he's putting off is, no, I won't.
Right.
I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Right? But it adds to the determinacy of the law. So clearly, when he signed his name on this opinion, he's like, that law wasn't necessarily determinate.
Right.
Right? All right, the reason we started this podcast, good old Brett Kavanaugh. Here's
Did he
him.
bring Squee along with him, or
Tobin. Here's his
Tobin?
him being questioned on
The
it.
important things to keep in mind about Roe v. Wade is that it has been reaffirmed many times over the past 45 years.
So someone says that to you, what are you thinking? Right? Listen, I'm asking you, sir, should Roe v. Wade be overturned? Well, one of the things to keep in mind is it's been reaffirmed many times. What is that line of thinking leading down?
That's been reaffirmed.
Leave it alone.
It's like it's going to be reaffirmed over and over again.
Thank you. Just want to make sure I heard it right.
Years, as you know. And most
But
prominently,
that-
most importantly, reaffirmed in Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992. And as you well recall, Senator, I know when that case came up, the Supreme Court didn't just reaffirm it in passing. The court specifically went through all the factors of stare decisis in considering whether to overrule it. And the joint opinion of Justice Kennedy, Justice O'Connor, and Justice Souter at great length went through those factors. That was the question presented in the case.
Okay. He mentioned stare decisis. We've talked about this briefly on the show before. Stare decisis is a legal principle of determining points in litigation according to precedent. Okay? So what he's saying is in Casey versus Planned Parenthood, the majority opinion looked at stare decisis and all the factors that should be considered when looking at stare decisis and reaffirmed Roe v. Wade. Okay? Now it's very poignant that he would say that because he's not saying whether or not he agrees. But based on his opinion that he signed, he doesn't agree. Because one of the main points that Alito makes in the opinion today is that stare decisis was not followed when they decided Casey versus Planned Parenthood or Roe v. Wade. There was no precedent before Roe v. Wade that was applicable to abortion, is what he said today. Now, it's bullshit, but there's no precedent that applies to abortion when it comes to liberty. Okay? I won't play you anymore. We know that they lied in their hearings. The only one who didn't lie was Amy Coney Barrett. She was very clear, like, I don't really like it. She never said definitively. She did the same thing, but she at least leaned that direction. Right? But they also go on to, in the opinion so far that I've read, talk about that there's no definition of liberty, and there's no specific mention of abortion in the Constitution. So I don't know how we can make a law about it. I'm like, well, there was no specific definition of a lot of things.
There's no specific definition of an AR-15 or I mean, there's.
It's amazingly hypocritical when I'm reading it.
I am getting burnt out on us guiding our current civilization by things that were written before toilet paper.
Now that's
and I'm not just talking about the Constitution. I'm talking about the Bible. I'm talking about, all this stuff. We know a lot more. We're a lot more advanced.
That is a good watershed moment.
Right.
To define it on.
And it's just like the Constitution was meant to be evolving. They stated so many times.
Now, that is a huge fundamental disagreement, right? You'll hear it referred. That usually is referred to as living document or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you read the people who wrote the Constitution, Madison, Jefferson. You read their notes. They wanted it changed like every.
They didn't use toilet paper, but they had the foresight to know that there might be things in the future that change. Maybe they were around. I guess they were around before rifling. They saw that things could change.
Right, that's true.
The advances were coming.
Yeah, they were still shooting with balls.
Well, yeah.
So, no, that's a huge thing. And as you read this particular opinion, I'm sure most opinions are like this, both liberal and conservative opinions are going to have this same language about what did the founders mean, because that's their job. Their job is to look at the document and interpret it based on what they think the founders meant and based on other precedent that courts before them have placed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand that's their job, but we as a people we can say, this is kind of dumb. Can we write a new document? So your abortion update for the week is that Roe v. Wade's been overturned, which means
for now.
Now this makes it an incredibly good argument as to why Joe Biden didn't pack the court. Why the fuck didn't you pack the court? You knew this would happen.
Well,
right?
because
you knew 2 months ago they leaked the opinion.
He didn't pack the court because if he packs the court, then we're really fucked.
I don't care,
man. Because he's gonna probably lose the next election, and we're either gonna have Trump or DeSantis, who are both insane.
It's true.
And they'll pack the. Next thing you know, we're gonna have 700 justices.
You know what? Honestly, I would be more comfortable with 700 educated justices than 9.
You're probably right. Nothing would ever get done.
Than 9? Yeah. 9 people are making a decision about what a document means to them on behalf of 350 million.
That is kind
They're not representative. They're not supposed to be representative, but they are supposed to interpret it. Here's another hypocrisy I noticed, and I'll maybe try and outline this in a later episode. Another hypocrisy I noticed is they talk about how loud the public is about this issue, but that they don't take that into account. But then literally 2 paragraphs later, they're like, there are people who stand on this side of the issue, and this side of the issue, and this side of the issue. And considering that, I'm like, wait a second, didn't 2 paragraphs ago you said we shouldn't consider that should play no role in your thinking? Why are you outlining it here? It's just really funny. So not ha-ha. So as it stands right now, the authority to regulate abortions has been given back to the state with no federal oversight or regulation, which means states like ours in Utah that have trigger laws that they passed years ago in the event that Roe's overturned are now in effect.
What are Republicans going to run on now?
that if elected Democrat, they're going to pack the court and re-overturn it?
Yeah.
So
now
I plan on putting at the beginning of every episode going forward, before our music, an ad on how to find abortion services. So I'm gonna record something before we leave, and we're gonna put it before the show. And I plan on volunteering for these companies. I will gladly drive a couple or whomever to Colorado or Nevada to help them find these services. Or
a lot of companies are going to continue to, and they're not companies that you would have really
Uber.
suspected.
Yeah.
No, one of them was like an outdoors company, which I thought was kind of weird.
No, there's a lot of companies standing up. I think more will. But
now,
here's something interesting. Sorry, one last thing about this. Kurt is in town.
Okay. Yeah.
Kurt is a major in the Army.
Oh, wow.
Just got promoted. He is also an OBGYN in the Army. He's a doctor. So I don't know what to call him. I'm thinking Major Doctor is the coolest thing.
Major Gina. Doctor.
Major Dr. Webster. So I asked him today, I said, thoughts on SCOTUS and abortion. This is his direct quote. I asked him, by the way, do you mind if I read this on the podcast without naming you or the Army? And his response was, of course, but you should totally use my name and the fact that I'm in the Army. What I said is my take, so go ahead. So this is Major Dr. Curtis Webster, the U.S. Army in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him about this decision. He said,
he's going to be so rich one day.
He said, it's horrible. I don't personally perform abortions, but a good number of my patients are young and single. They're in the Army. Not being able to counsel them on all of their options in early pregnancy has been tough over the past year with all of the Texas bullshit. Women will find a way to stop a pregnancy. They have that right since it's their body. I think that all of this just makes it more unsafe. Listen to this, man. This is insane. I've had to take care of 2 women in the past 6 months that get pills through the mail when they should have had a DNC, which is a procedure to clean out the uterus, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how far along they were when they took the pills.
Right.
They showed up to the ER hemorrhaging, and I have to urgently take them to the OR because they're bleeding out.
Oh.
I tend to advocate for for the woman, since that is what kind of doctor I am. What's scary now is if they take the rights away from the states to make their own decisions. So I want to hit on 3 points that Kurt makes here. First, he can't perform abortions because he's an Army doctor. Army doesn't let him. Neither does Texas. Texas also doesn't allow him to counsel his patients who come to him with a question like this, who says, I can't believe I'm pregnant. I don't know what I'm going to do. He is not allowed to talk to them about abortion. What kind of fucked up free speech bullshit is this?
Texas needs to take their state back.
Like, you got to be kidding me. You have a doctor. Can you imagine going to your doctor about a vasectomy?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I can't really talk about that.
Meet me out back.
Meet me out back. I'll take a scalpel. So the hemorrhaging, let's see, I think that was... Oh, and then states' rights. So I understand his concern there. However, I will say this. In the opinion I've read so far, they've made it clear that they want this to be the state's decisions, which means you will continue to have liberal safe haven states like Colorado, California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, whatever in the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is someone who, a 16-year-old girl with no job in Alabama. What is she supposed to do? It's not legal to get pills in the mail, but you have to get caught, right?
Right?
For that to really matter. So she could get pills in the mail, but let's say she's too far along and the chemical abortion works, but now she starts to bleed out. And there are some doctors who still won't treat because the laws are written in some of these states in a way that say if the abortion was done on purpose, knowingly, you can't treat. So if a girl comes in and says, I took abortion pills, I took Plan C pills, and I'm hemorrhaging now, there are some doctors in some states who might have to say or will say, I can't even surgically remove that now.
But they will. Someone will.
Someone will. I just read, now this isn't the United States, I just read a story about a woman in Malta.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say she was like 16 weeks pregnant and had a partial miscarriage. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Malta will not perform abortions. The placenta is almost all the way detached, and she's bleeding. She's not hemorrhaging, but she's bleeding heavily. But they detected a heartbeat in the fetus still, so they will not perform an abortion. So she has to fly from Malta to Spain. In which point, at any point on that plane ride, or in between, that placenta could detach or something else, and she could hemorrhage completely. But because they detected a heartbeat, even though the amniotic sac is burst, there's no viability here.
Mm-hmm.
16 weeks, right? So that's just an example of Malta. I can't compare it to any state for sure, but I have to imagine that in the 30-plus states that this is now illegal in, some of theirs are written in a way that is like that. Because here we have a doctor in Texas who can't even talk to his patients about abortion. Can't even say, hey, if you drive to Nevada, you can get this done.
Next episode, we need to talk about Texas's Republican agenda and how freaking crazy it is. But real quick, now, today's opinion, it honestly doesn't really affect me, currently at least.
It's never going to affect you.
Right. And that's not to say I don't care.
I shouldn't say never. You could have a wife
Right,
or
yeah,
a sister
right,
or something.
correct.
Yeah, right.
Now, we've talked about abortion many times, and where I currently land is I don't like it. I'm not in love with it. I understand why it happens. I think it's fine. Incest, rape, it's great. I don't think I would personally abort somebody.
Not on the. By the way, that Mississippi law I mentioned. Nothing for incest or rape.
No, that's not ideal. That's and I kind of think that in 100 years, maybe more, we'll look back and think, oh, that was a pretty crappy thing that we did.
Right.
But maybe, it's gonna until we have Star Trek technology to beam a fetus out, it's gonna be an issue.
Right.
Now, all that being said, I don't like today's opinion, but it did not concern me as much as what Clarence Thomas's opinion said.
His opinion was scary. Go ahead. I'll talk about it because I read about it too.
Thomas wrote that the High Court has a duty to correct the error established in Obergefell versus Hodges, 2015, which legalized same-sex marriage, Lawrence versus Texas, 2003, which protects same-sex relationships, and Griswold versus Connecticut, 1965, which protects married couples' access to contraception. Now, the first two, of course, are specifically aimed at gay rights.
Sure.
Which, I thought we'd kind of gotten past. Clearly, there's still an appetite with radical Republicans to do away with that for whatever reason. But this 1965 thing, this is Gilead, man. This is
Clarence Thomas is a black man, and it's almost like he's like, let's go back to Plessy versus Ferguson. Go segregation.
This is probably not a popular opinion, but he should do well to remember what his race is and how his people were oppressed.
Right.
And if he keeps overturning things, there's a handful in his. There's more that there's a large segment in his party that would.
Oh yeah.
would want him dead.
Right.
I'm not.
No, they would lynch him.
I wasn't going to say that, but yes.
I'm not threatening it. I'm saying, given the opportunity,
no,
there are people.
You're right.
The people who visited Charlottesville.
Right.
Right.
And being married to a white woman isn't going to.
Well, I'll tell you, she's under some heat
I'll
too
say
with January 6th. So let me make you feel just a little bit better.
Right.
Clarence Thomas is still a sitting Supreme Court justice.
Right.
Justice Alito, who wrote this opinion, had this to say. The Solicitor General suggests that overruling Roe and Casey would threaten the protection of other rights under the Due Process Clause. The court emphasizes that this decision concerns the constitutional right to abortion and no other right. Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion.
No, and I understand that.
So,
but the mere fact that we have someone on the Supreme Court that thinks this way, that wants us to be in the Handmaid's Tale, that wants to take away contraception.
Yeah. I don't understand
I'm telling you that the Republican Party be like, whoa.
Listen, I find it hard to believe that Clarence Thomas has never used a condom with his mistress.
Yeah,
DC.
he's a pretty skeezy guy. He almost didn't get on because he was a freaking rapist, right, or something.
Yeah,
I remember
he had allegations.
I mean,
come on, man.
What is his deal? I
think that he was. I guarantee he was in the majority opinion that decided for Hobby Lobby. Remember that case?
Oh yeah, of course.
That they don't have to provide insurance for birth control because some people believe that life begins at
semen.
Not
balls.
No, they won't go to semen because they want to be able to masturbate. But they will say at conception, as soon as not even conception, as soon as the egg is fertilized. Conception is when it. I could be wrong, but my understanding is conception when a fertilized egg attaches to the uterine wall. Okay, so there's a bunch of steps that have to happen. First, the sperm has to meet the egg, then a bunch of weird shit happens and it attaches to the uterine wall.
What's the difference between a sperm and an egg?
There are some. Well, here's the problem. There are some birth controls that block an egg from being fertilized.
Right.
There are some birth controls, like most IUDs, that simply stop it from attaching to the uterine wall. So if you believe that someone has committed murder by not allowing a fertilized egg to attach to the wall,
I'm a mass murderer.
then you also haven't You're not. You would never know if this, like, you would. I guess you could know if a woman was trying to get pregnant and it didn't work, and they had sex at the right time. You could be like, "Oh, that's horrible." Then why don't you have a gravestone for that fertilized egg that didn't attach?
Run out of cemetery plots.
Well, I
have out back. I've got one for every scene.
I've made this argument before.
It's getting very expensive.
Which is, they'll put numbers about how many thousands or millions of abortions take place.
Right.
And they'll say, that's 60 million children murdered. I'm like, if you really thought that these children were being murdered, like, I at least have respect for someone who bombs an abortion clinic because at least they actually did something to stop the murder that they believe is happening. I know you don't believe that, because if you did believe that and aren't doing something like that, then you're a fucking pussy. If you think that children are being murdered actively and you are not fighting to the death for, you're as bad as the Uvalde police. You're as bad as, if you really, that's how I know you don't believe that this is murder. Because if you did, and you didn't do something, you're as bad as the Uvalde police. You would be killing these doctors actively. You'd be killing these escorts in the parking lot that escort these women to the, right?
Right.
I'm not advocating for any of this, but I'm saying if you genuinely believe this is murder and you're not doing something about it, then you're just in your opinion, you're just letting a Holocaust happen every day.
Right. There's a Holocaust on my towel every day. Anyway, I did see in Utah's leader or whatever said there's going to be 3,000 more babies in Utah every year now.
That's
like
the first thing we need, isn't it?
Like, okay, really?
Holy
like
shit.
And first of all,
no,
unlikely. Second of all, what are you who's gonna pay for them?
No.
It's
well,
like,
and I'll tell you why it's unlikely. So Dr. Webster made a very good point. Which, let me go back to this message real quick. Because he said women will find a way to stop a pregnancy. I believe a woman is resourceful. Sure, they're going to find a way. But are they going to die? Are they going to hemorrhage like these 2 women he's had to treat? Right? Are they going to use a coat hanger? Are they going to do something else to try and hurt the baby that hurts them?
Probably.
Right? No, I don't think we're going to have any more. What we're going to have is a lot more pregnant women die or get hurt.
Well, and the statistics, we're really good with that now, and that'll show within, a year.
But I don't know if there's an abortion clinic, a Planned Parenthood in Wendover, but there should be, because I will gladly drive anyone out there.
That is the closest one, huh?
I'll even be armed if you want me to.
Jeez.
No, this is bullshit.
Bryan Stubbs, our friend Bryan Stubbs, posted. I don't know if he wrote this out or took it from somewhere, and we've heard all this stuff before, but it is true. Policies people believe will reduce abortions, banning abortions, versus policies that actually reduce abortions: access to free contraceptive, comprehensive sex education, universal health care, paid family leave, welfare funding, ending housing insecurity, closing the wage gap, and funding education. Are all things that have been shown statistically to reduce abortion in many states, are all things that are opposed.
Welcome to the minority in Utah, Stubbs. I'm glad.
It's so weird. They're like, banning guns won't do anything.
That's such a good
Banning
point.
guns will not do anything.
My Lord.
Banning abortions will.
That's such a great point. Abortions don't kill babies.
Babies.
People kill babies. Well, man, we got to make a T-shirt out of that shit. So we got to think of the same kind of slogan, right? Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Abortions don't kill babies. Banning abortions would do no. In fact, we should have more abortions.
If you give
two
give the doctors abortions, they'll be able to.
They're the ones who can defend against non-abortion.
Right.
With abortion.
It's just and I don't know, maybe the Democrats, the left does this stuff all the time too, and I just don't catch it. But there's just so much hypocrisy in their opinions all the time that I see. Maybe I'm just blind. But
no, listen.
There is I can't tell you how many posts I see on social media. Oh, there's a sign that says "No guns allowed," so I guess that means no guns.
Turn your
nothing's gonna happen there. And this is the same. It's the same thing. Well, there's a sign that says no abortions, but I've got this coat hanger. So
Right.
it just,
Oh no,
I don't know, man.
That's a fantastic analogy. Oh man, I love it. That there is hypocrisy on both sides. It just so happens that the hypocrisy on the right is far more damaging, right? I mean, sure, you're sending this back to the states. So you're essentially what you're saying is that the states' rights are more important than the individuals.
Well, we've had this argument before in the 1800s of something about slavery. Or
Right.
I don't know. States' rights. It was about states' rights.
It was
though,
something about states' rights.
Yeah, it was nothing else.
Because Alito brings up Plessy versus Ferguson, that kept segregation, and then Brown versus the Board of Education overturned that. Right? I'm like, right, states' rights. If you would let the states' rights continue, then they would have continued to have segregation. But Brown versus the Board of Education made it federal protection. So, right, what you're saying, you're arguing against yourself here, bro.
Right.
But no, what he's saying, what he's making an argument for there is it's okay to overturn precedent. Because look what we did for racism. That's his argument. It's silly. It's amazing. I'm like, I never thought I would read something that's like, all this is a carefully worded, not even carefully worded. It's just someone with good, diction, good linguistics, wrote the opinion of like a 9th grade seminary student. That's what it looks like, right? And I know that Alito probably didn't write most of this.
No, of course not.
But it's still, anyway.
We got two things here you want to talk about before the break, or you want to hold on to those?
Oh no, we can talk about Matt Gaetz for sure. Okay.
Okay.
Because this is funny, and I hate this fucking guy. January 6th committee today had someone in the Trump admin testifying, and so here it is. Several other aides confirmed that Gaetz asked for a pardon. Okay?
Lots of them did.
It would become public 2 months after Trump left office that Gaetz was reportedly under investigation for alleged sexual trafficking. The aide goes on to say, I know we had asked for it, but I don't know if you ever received one or what happened with it. The general tone was, we may get prosecuted because we're defensive of you, of the president's position on these things.
Right.
The pardon that he was discussing was as broad as you can describe. Quote, from the beginning of time up until today, for any and all things.
You know what's really funny is I don't even I doubt these senators even realize that you get pardoned for federal crimes. The state can still go after you. They'll just be like, oh, child trafficking, okay, not federally, but hey, Florida's going to go after you. So you're going to end up in a Florida jail.
This aide, but Matt probably doesn't know that. He thinks that the president's all powerful.
No, yeah, he's an idiot.
He's an idiot. This aide named 5 other House Republicans who sought pardons. Representative Mo Brooks of Alabama, Andy Biggs of Arizona, Louis Gohmert of Texas, Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, and Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia.
Wow, all the dumbest senators.
Oh,
and
I was actually going to talk. That was the question I was going to ask you, which that's okay. I said I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I was going to ask you, if you had the ear of the president, would you consider, let's say you were in a room.
Okay.
And everyone's asking for pardons, and he's just signing them all. Would you consider asking for one just out of principle?
For what?
That's what I mean.
Unless he can pardon my federal debt.
That's what I mean.
If he can do that, then hell yeah.
Because this is what Republicans will say.
Right.
They'll just say, well, of course. I mean, who wouldn't ask?
It's not like you can pardon one free murder.
Right. I mean, the pardon language is funny. It's very sweeping, and it's very like godlike.
Right.
Like you read pardon language, you're like, who is this guy? Like fuck no. So I'm just thinking, like, let's see, if I was in the room, let's say I was in there with a bunch of buddies, and I'm good friends with the president. I'm kind of a sycophant, and everybody's getting these pardons. I might be like, hey, will you sign this one too?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think I would, because for what?
Well, if
your response to that question is exactly my point.
I guess I would like rob a bank or something and hope that the state doesn't go after
Listen,
me.
I'll be back in an hour.
Hold that pen. Keep that pen warm. I'll be right back.
I got to go to the federal treasury.
Yeah. Give me all your plates.
Yeah. Actually, will you just post-date this pardon? Make this whole thing easier. Just, you didn't sign this till Monday. Like a check. Don't cash this till Monday. Yeah, your answer is exactly what I'm talking about. Would you ask for a pardon if everybody else in the room was, and your answer was, for what? That is exactly right.
I mean, you'd have to have done something.
Right.
These people, the people, Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they keep calling people cowards. These people are the biggest cowards you ever met. They realize they're screwed up and that they're idiots.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I don't want to go to jail. Ah!
Made a huge mistake.
And they cower in front of their Christ, and they ask for pardon.
It's amazing. Good analogy.
It's embarrassing, man.
Yeah. Republican Jim, GYM, Jordan of Ohio, also asked for an update on whether the White House is going
Seriously,
to pardon
these
members
are
of Congress.
the dumbest senators.
He didn't personally ask for one, but he was waiting for everybody in the room to get theirs. That's what he was
You
waiting
let
for.
me know when you get yours, and I'll see if I can get mine.
Yeah, the freaking Associated Press.
Hey,
is in
Matt,
here,
did you
get your pardon?
Did you get the pardon?
For the sex stuff. Jim Jordan, he's going to go to jail in Ohio anyway for.
None of these people
sexual
ever go to
abuse.
jail. They never go to jail.
It's true.
It's really annoying.
It's true. I do wonder. So, I mean, I know it's hard to imagine that people like us will never have our mind changed about Trump, and there are also Trumpers who will never have their mind changed about Trump.
Right.
I'm curious about those people in the middle, which they're there.
Right.
Just look at a Mike Lee and Evan McMullen poll. You'll know they're there.
Mhm.
Right. I'm just curious if this January 6th is having any sway at all.
I mean,
some of this shit is this is worse than Watergate. Like, it's so groundbreaking.
I would hope it's swaying the middle people.
Yeah.
It's telling us things that we kind of already know.
Right. But it's laying them out in such fine detail.
I think that if you watch the first day and you watch the body cam footage that we hadn't really seen yet, I think that's enough right there to be like, oh,
scary shit.
I don't think these people should be allowed to side with Blue Lives Matter anymore because they.
No. Frankly, the blue has no one on their side right now. Like, it's just, because the January 6th watches that video and they're like, well, shouldn't have been there. Cop shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have opened the gate. Why did he open the gate down there then?
I think we talked about this last episode. My favorite part, all the people, after everything Donald had done for us.
Yeah, what the hell, man?
After everything he did, he came down and
he asked me to be there personally.
He got nailed to a cross and forgave us of all our sins. And like, what are you talking about? Like, I can't point to a president in my lifetime that's done enough for me that presidents don't do anything.
And that's one of the
fact that we still put so much emphasis on presidents.
No.
Today, this ruling, the Supreme Court should show you that state governments, your local governments are where, if you want to see change, that's where it needs to happen.
And remember, Andrew Badger, who is running against Blake Moore in our district here in Ogden, is the one who said, Blake Moore is an idiot Republican. He believes in climate change.
Yeah, I know.
Those are the people who will decide whether or not abortion is legal in the state for women.
Yeah.
Among other things.
There are people who don't use toilet paper.
Holy shit, man. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. When you start reading more and more about the local officials, especially representatives, you're like, this fucker was just unemployed. That's the only reason he ran.
Can we attach rockets to the moon?
That's Louis Gohmert. Dude.
And change the orbit. At least he believes in climate change.
Oh, my.
All right, let's take a break.
Okay.
When we come back. Oh, I forgot we had the song on here. You know what? Before we go to break, in case people take the opportunity to turn away, we have a new show. I haven't been able to book us one in July, but I did get us one
August 12th.
in August 12th, at the Boardwalk again.
In Orem. 7-ish, probably.
Yeah.
Like, open the doors around.
I was reading the flyer, and there's 4 bands or 4 groups, and so we're either second or third.
I know it wasn't very clear.
I'm not sure. Normally, when you do a flyer like that, the headliner is first, and then we're second. But it could be.
I like
either way. I like our position because you don't want to be last,
right?
Because everyone leaves, and you don't want to be first.
Frankly, I love the ambiguity of that flyer.
Yeah,
like, if
that's
you want to
true.
see the band, you don't know when they're playing.
That's true.
Except for us. You could be like, they're second or third. And then
Right.
the other band that is either second
Right.
or third.
So,
Rejected
we were
takeoff.
told we didn't give people enough warning last time.
Right.
So we will be attempting to play a new song, or newer. Well, it's been a year.
It's new to you.
We
It's-
just barely learned it.
It's like a used car. It's new to you.
Yeah.
And we'll play this song that you're hearing
Um,
right now.
Yeah, and it will be better than the last show.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
For various reasons. But yeah, when we come back, we have random headlines, which I'm going to do it old school and just pull them straight from the site. And then I want to talk about custom hats and maybe burkas. So all that and more. Well, no, not more. That's it. You do all sorts of stuff. It's fun. Write them, we'll learn them.
Well, maybe.
No,
well,
I will
defend. I will defend your creative license in this band to the death. Be like, no, because you and I agree on most things. Like, no, Spencer has all creative rights here.
He sent me a few BTM songs, and I was like, there was a couple that I was like, we could slow this down a little.
Yeah.
Take the punk rock out of it, and it would fit, and we could probably make it cool.
Yeah.
But
there's probably even a couple Market songs, but I'm like, well,
no, I've wanted to play the one that I like.
The Miserable.
Yeah.
Well, you always end up playing Bleeding Ears, don't you? Or Ignorance?
Yeah, I
can't remember. Fun little riff. I listened to it yesterday.
If we ever get time, I'd love to re-record that song. You should sing in it.
I'm down to do anything.
It would be fun. That was always my favorite. Something about a needle through the eye. Camels.
With the ship.
Yeah.
I had this vision in my head of like a ship, like someone's looking at a ship, but it's reflecting in the person's eye. Yeah. That's why I came up with that.
I think it's good. It was always my favorite. I always thought that if the Market could go anywhere, it would be because of that song.
And I pictured myself following.
Because it's kind of like Angels and Airwaves ish.
A little bit. I mean, that was a huge influence during that time.
If we could overproduce it like our current songs, I think it would be tits, man. Be sick.
I'm down to do it anytime, man. You could even sing it. I don't care.
I
haven't been singing in way too long, so I don't even know if I could.
I got to figure out how I'm gonna sing this
have to go
new
through
song, dude. Every time I'm like, I can't. I gotta.
Should we switch guitars and go down even more?
I thought about it. Like, I don't know how I recorded it. I don't know.
Everybody does that in recording. I don't know what it is about the human ear. We love it in a higher key.
I guess.
We like Michael Jackson, Blink.
I should record everything in regular tuning and drop down then. Actually, I probably should do that.
That's true. We should tune up for recording every time.
That's what most bands do.
Yeah. Well, not to mention that it just kind of it gives a different feel throughout an album.
Yeah.
Not that we're releasing an album.
Maybe someday. We've got 2 more songs. We can finally release an album.
But we release the singles separately still, and then release all 10.
Yeah. Remastered. Oh, did I ever stop recording? Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. All right, we're back.
I never do.
We are back. I gotta find these stories.
Oh, I gotta record a thing. I gotta record an abortion thing.
What another? What do you mean?
I gotta record the little ad to put in front of the thing.
Oh,
it's gonna be for just a quick little like if you know you or someone you know is looking for abortion services, something like that. Just more of a statement. But then I was talking to Ashley about it. She's like, I know that most of the people who listen to the show are probably men. And that's actually a good thing if they could hear this. I was like, all right, whatever.
Go ahead. Whenever I'm recording, I'll mute myself.
All right, here we go. If you or someone you know needs help finding abortion healthcare services, go to abortionfunds.org or abortionfinder.org. That's it.
Do it more.
Like with a smile on my face?
No. Like the beginning of a cop show or something. Or
if you or someone you know.
Yeah.
Like.
Maybe not quite as excited.
Okay. If you or someone you know needs help finding abortion healthcare services, go to abortionfunds.org or abortionfinder.org.
Now do it like the Price is Right.
If you you could put all sorts of edits on this. I was going to add like you can donate there as well, but I don't think that's important.
Okay.
Is it okay? Was that okay? Yeah. Okay. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
I just wanted to kind of make a statement at the beginning of shows now. Before our intro.
Sorry, I'm looking at random headlines here. Okay. Okay. Here we go.
interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you these random headlines.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that clip.
I think it's going to be from Arrested Development, have you watched Arrested Development?
Yeah.
I watch it every year around this time, and every time I find
early summer.
Every time I find new things that are just
yeah.
It's such a funny show, man. David Cross is so hilarious in it.
Every once in a while, the line "I blew myself" pops into my mind. Just the other day, I was like, "I blew myself."
Just saw that episode. Today I watched the one. He's talking to George Michael here about
have sex with this girl right now. No, that sounds a bit racy. Okay, he may be afraid of sex, but you're not going to win without it. No, I'm not afraid of sex. Oh, good. Have sex with this girl right now. Do it. Go. Get in there. Have some sex with her right now. I didn't think so. And you need to decide.
Then he says, you need to decide if you're going to have it with a male or a female. And he says, I know what I would choose. And I've never caught that before.
Yeah.
So
man. Have you ever watched his stand-up?
Yeah.
It is brutal.
Yeah, it is.
It's brutal.
He does not like religion.
No, or
God. Or
conservatism.
No.
Yeah.
Which, whatever.
No,
it's just hilarious.
I like it.
No.
I like the points he's
But
making.
I understand why people don't go to it.
Yeah. Like he was talking I watched a clip where he was talking about gun rights.
Right.
And he was talking about like a conservative senator holding his dead child.
Right.
And saying, well, it's a small price to pay. It's like, oh my gosh, dude.
I like his bit on the beginning of Religion.
Yeah.
Where he's like, there's a big guy, it used to beat up the little guys, and one day he's like, whoa. I gotta find it. I'm gonna pull it up.
There you go.
I'm gonna pull it up while I read these random headlines.
Have you ever watched The Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais?
No.
That's a good one that has echoes of religion. It's
Ricky
hilarious.
Gervais is funny too.
It's hilarious, and but yeah, he basically no one lies in this world, and he's the first one. And so he starts to tell people all these lies, like there's a man in the sky who told me to be nice to everyone. He slowly becomes like Jesus. Anyway, it's pretty funny.
Wait, is that on Netflix?
I think so, probably.
Okay.
Anyway, random headlines.
Oh, he has a bit on Mormonism? Must be new. I don't know, it's not.
David Cross?
Yeah. All right. YouTuber, this one's for you.
Why?
Because you can break this record.
Okay.
YouTuber breaks world records for chugging.
Records?
Well, yeah, there's 2 records, but one of them is tomato juice. Which I know you enjoy a tomato juice every now and then.
You know, when I lost my taste with COVID, I did drink a shit ton of V8.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get my veggies in.
You could have had a V8. But not only did he break the record for chugging tomato juice, he also broke the record for chugging your favorite beverage. Now,
Urine? Oh.
he now has, well, it's the same color. He now has diabetes, and he's going to die any day. But so tomato juice and Mountain Dew. I don't think it was together, but.
Oh, man. Oh, I just gagged a little when you said together.
No, I don't know. Have you ever tried it? Maybe it's like a crazy good cocktail or something.
The fastest time to drink 1 liter of soda. And the fastest time to drink 1 liter of tomato sauce.
Just a liter? Not even 2 liters?
Well, it's a speed trial. It's not necessarily a quantity trial.
I feel like that could be broken easily.
Let's see.
Can we do it right now?
Oh, my gosh. No. Did you read this?
No.
Keep reading.
Okay. Eric Badlands Booker, based out of Long Island, took on the records for fastest time to drink 1 liter. Where can you buy a liter of anything?
Well, the 2 bottles are 1 liter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. And the fastest time to drink 1 liter tomato. This is tomato sauce.
Oh, that's gross. Okay, so it's not.
The headline says tomato juice, but this says tomato sauce.
Oh, it does say sauce.
Huh.
Yep.
Booker drank his liter of Mountain Dew in 6.8 seconds.
Holy shit.
I don't feel like that's that long.
Let's pause for 6.8 seconds. Ready? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there. That's a liter. You know that would burn. Have you seen the Sprite challenge?
I feel like I could do that.
6.8 seconds.
I feel like I could do that.
I feel like you could do the tomato sauce. But now let's say they call it juice in this next paragraph. Keep going.
He finished. Okay, Booker drank his Mountain Dew in 6.8 seconds, and his liter of tomato juice in 1 minute 18 seconds. That's funny. The difference.
Why do they call it juice here and sauce up there, though? I want to know.
Is tomato juice that hard to drink?
I don't know.
Like, how did it go from 6.8 seconds to 78 seconds?
Oh, look, he's actually holds another record. Did you see this one?
Booker competitive. He's a competitive eater, ranked 23rd by Major League Eating.
MLE, man. It's the MLE. Do they have a red? White?
I knew there was competitive eating.
Okay.
I did not know that it was called the MLE.
Hang on, because you are a graphic designer.
I want to see their logo.
Yes.
Is it blue?
Dude,
it
is.
Blue
It
and red with a guy shoving a.
Look, it's got fork.
Oh my God, you're right. That is fantastic. Only difference would I would replace the fork with a hot dog.
Oh yeah. Or a pie or something.
Someone made that logo.
Someone got paid.
Someone was paid.
Look, I mean, it is trademarked and everything.
Hey, I need you to make a logo for me. It's gonna be big. It's a major sport.
It's a major.
Do I get
league.
to design the logo for the Major League Soccer or NBA? Oh, not that major. Major League Eating. Oh, what? Okay, so he also has the fastest time to drink 2 liters of soda when he downed the beverage in 18.45 seconds.
Man,
so that adds quite a bit of time though to his per liter.
That's true. It's more
per liter.
It's about 3 seconds slower.
Do you think that he shakes it? Is it legal to shake it and get the fizz out?
I bet you Guinness has a rule.
I don't know.
Maybe they
with competitive eating though, you can do all sorts of weird
true.
stuff like wet your hot dog and
maybe they pour. Well, see, this picture on YouTube shows it in a cup, which is probably easier than a bottle.
Oh, I'd do the bottle, man. Just turn it up right.
Well, no, because then this way he gets all the air. You'd have to like.
Oh, it's got a video of him doing it. Oh, he has
to pour it out.
Why is he pouring into? He's pouring into a measuring cup.
Oh, they have to measure it first.
Smells it. Oh, he uses 2 20-ounce bottles. Okay, he's at 2 liters. Guy's not a healthy man. He definitely has diabetes.
Man, he's sweating. Look at it. He's sweating drinking Mountain Dew.
There's hot lights. I feel like I could do this.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna get a 2 liter tonight.
Go get a 0 sugar.
I've got Diet Coke here right now.
Dude, Coke would burn.
I can do it.
I mean, you can try.
We'll finish this up. We're going to pause this, and we're going to do it.
6.8 seconds.
I think I can do this.
Go fast
oh, my gosh, it's tomato sauce. This is tomato sauce. Oh, my gosh, it's so thick. That is disgusting. Oh, he's going to die. Oh, this is so gross.
Oh, man, it's a great TikTok sound. That sentence you just said, it's so thick. He's going to die.
Oh, he's using a straw. He's using a straw. He's sucking it like it's a dick.
I love how you paused twice. You hesitated twice.
Oh, he's going at it. Oh, I don't know if this man is heterosexual or not, but man, I'd let him.
It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off.
The movement. That is so gross. Seriously, it's reminding me of porn. I can't watch this anymore.
Oh, I just saw the Dew one.
Yeah, that's not so bad. I'm telling you.
Dude, no.
The
burning. It would
do
burn
it.
so bad.
Do it.
All right, we can try it.
We're going to try.
We can try it.
I don't know if I have that big of a measuring cup, though.
Well, you can go from the bottle. I think it's easier to go.
All I have is 20 ounces, though. Or like 19 ounces.
In order to drain a 1 liter bottle in 6 seconds, you'd have to squeeze it. And I don't think you can swallow that fast.
Well, we'll have to see how fast I can drink a
12 ounce, then do the math?
Whatever I've got in there bottle-wise.
All right.
Anyway. A squirrel knocks out power to 3,000 in downtown Asheville, North Carolina. They've got a picture of a very distraught squirrel. He's shocked. He's surprised that he did this.
Is he dead?
Let's see. A North Carolina utility company said a squirrel was to blame for a power outage that affected more than 3,000 customers. Duke Energy said. 3,000 customers in downtown area of Asheville, including multiple businesses and government buildings, lost power Wednesday morning when a squirrel came into contact with some wiring.
He's dead.
Is he?
He's got to be dead. You're not going to survive
I
that.
don't know, because I've had a bird chew through a wire, create a massive spark, and be okay.
Yeah, but coming into
The bird's beak was a little black.
But like biting through a little 110 volt is different than coming into contact with.
The outage led facilities, kind of blah, 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 blah. He doesn't say.
They just blamed it on a squirrel. They don't even know. They just
Yeah, how do they know?
They just didn't want to look incompetent.
It could just be a squirrel just hanging out over there that just happened to die of squirrel AIDS or something. I don't know.
Because birds can get shocked on power lines if they touch
They have
two
to
at
touch
the same.
both, though.
Right. But so a squirrel could be on the pole if it's not insulated.
Well, that's what saved my bird is that it chewed through just one of the wires.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't hit the other side.
Right.
Which well,
But
maybe-
that's only that same thing though. You can touch a plug right now.
Right.
And it make your body feel weird. You touch the power line, you die.
Right.
Randy would know the voltage.
Yeah, that's true.
Who knows, man? There's like 100,000 volts in a. It's all about amps, though. it only takes like a half an amp to kill a human.
Half an amp?
That's why the voltage in like tasers is misleading, because it's like 50,000 volts, but it's like a quarter of an amp.
Oh.
A half an amp will stop your heart.
Jeez.
I don't understand. It's ohms and amps. It's something about I don't know.
A dog. A Kansas couple. A Kansas couple vacationing in Las Vegas said their dog escaped from a pet hotel, which I guess is what we're calling kennels now, and ran 2 miles to their home when he triggered their doorbell. Aw.
That's a long
So they're on vacation, and they see their Ring camera, and the dog is on it.
That's awesome. I think this is it right here. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It was their pooch that escaped dog.
Pooch? Come on, Inside Edition.
You got to come up with a better. You got to do punny.
Can somebody let me in?
Okay, lady, you're not very good at making. You're no K-Dub Dubs. You
gotta do some punny news here. Like, the dog had a rough night as he trekked 2 miles home, homeward bound.
This isn't local news. It's Inside Edition. Only local news does news puns. But you're right.
Yeah, I mean,
there
rough
should
night,
be a ton.
That's so easy. Just off the top of
One
my
dog had a rough night.
Yeah.
Oh, remember
as he trekked homeward bound.
Remember we did that, and we found so many puns in that
So
one
many.
story about the train pulling in front of the bikes. I got to find that story again. Jeremy said he and his wife Sarah dropped off their dog, whose name is Dexter, at the pet hotel before traveling to Vegas when their phones informed them Ring doorbell camera detected motion. They were shocked to see the canine.
You got to work it in.
Is it like a?
If it's a story about a dog, you got to work.
Is
the
that like a
canine.
prop? Like we're not offended? Like what?
I think it's just another way to
You
make
know, it's
the
just
story
the same news site as last time. Maybe they're just big on the word canine.
Yeah.
UPI.com. Henson said Dexter jumped 6-foot fence and a 4-foot retainer fence to escape from the boarding facility.
6-foot fence.
Yeah.
Damn.
The couple contacted the pet hotel, who sent a van. And he ran right into the vehicle and jumped inside and was taken back and
it's like shit.
Killed himself. He had to be put down.
There's no escaping. No, you will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep. That's like in the contract. If your pet escapes, we have to put it down within 24 hours.
That's only funny if you listen to the last episode. Just so. That's a throwback. Every story that we had was.
Yeah, you gotta put it down.
And they had to put them down. I think that's it. Is that 3 stories?
I think so.
Some Oregon guy, he broke a record for alphabetizing soup.
All right, that is dumb.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But
No LEDs on outhouses.
Oh,
but if
this
you know
is
the
dumb.
alphabet-
He took a thing of alphabets and he had to pull them out and put them on a little map. Why is that a record? Why?
That's dumb.
Like why do you, what? Who thinks you know what I can do?
I'm really good at the alphabet.
I'm really good at alphabet soup and a plate of why?
Oh wait, it wasn't. Oh, it wasn't like soup cans. He had
No.
alphabet soup.
No.
And had to put the letters
Yeah,
in.
there's a bowl of alphabet soup here, and then there's a map of all the letters, and there are sloppy, gross pieces of A, B.
He shouldn't be allowed to map it.
That's.
You should be able to see what the letter is in any orientation and put it in order.
Yeah.
That's got to be a different record.
I don't know. It's stupid.
Oh, I told you before we started, I said, I got something to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm dead serious about this. Ashley and I are highly considering a move to Texas. And I'm dead serious. I wouldn't have considered it. But once again, Kurt was in town.
Uh-huh.
And he lives in Texas. He's also lived up in Oregon. And I said, hey, I need to talk to you about moving out of the state because I told you I was kind of considering, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. We loved it up in the PNW. It was beautiful. He's like, but honestly, we're considering just settling here in Texas.
Mm.
And I was like, no. No, because Kurt's like, he's like me. He's like a liberal guy, right?
Well, Austin's a little different.
He doesn't live in Austin. He lives in near Killeen, so in between Austin and San Antonio. So I started looking at houses there. It's just like the Northeast. Super cheap.
That's because no one wants to live there.
But
you need to stop trying to move. It's stressing me out.
But I don't want
You're
to.
keeping me up at night with this.
Listen, I don't want to live here anymore.
Well,
So
you read through the Texas Republican Party agenda and maybe
have you read Utah's?
It cannot be worse than
than
Texas's.
Listen,
religious state. It's bad.
Did you just say religious?
No,
state?
no. It's like it's really bad. You got to read it.
But I will. So I thought I did. Listen, I thought about this a lot. Okay,
Uh-huh.
not a lot, a little.
Yeah.
And I said, Beto almost won the Senate seat
why I
against
said
Ted
Texas
Cruz.
needs to take their state
And
back.
Beto might beat Greg Abbott, which means that Texas is actually way more purple than Utah is purple.
Could be. Austin's pretty liberal. Dallas is getting that way.
I mean, look how close Beto was to beating Ted Cruz.
Well, Ted Cruz is a piece of
But
human
the Republicans
garbage.
love him. They love pieces of shit.
And that's true.
Like, he is the highest polling piece of shit.
Well, you
to
just
grace
need
the
to stop
Senate
telling me about it because it's stressing me out.
But you
It's
can
causing anxiety.
You can come with me for at least a couple years.
I'm not moving back to Texas because it is a miserable.
Well, where
the heat there, I can't even explain
But
how
you
awful it
hate
is.
winter.
I do, but I hate the humidity even more. And you know what's crazy is the humidity makes it colder there than it is here.
But you don't have to go outside.
It doesn't matter. That's the thing about Texas is it's humid inside. It's humid everywhere.
Well, I know,
your
but-
balls will never dry out.
So
You will need
once again,
powder.
Kurt asked me about, or not asked me. Kurt told me.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't think I'd get used to the humidity. I was there day one, unpacking some stuff. I was pouring sweat. The guys moving him in were kind of, they're used to it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He's like, but you kind of, you acclimate.
Yeah. And
now
then you go somewhere that doesn't have it, and you're like, oh, man. Oh, this is so much better.
But I don't know how much longer I can afford to live here.
What are you talking about? Your house is it's just as expensive to live in Texas.
No, it's not. Are you serious? That's what I'm saying.
The property tax
No.
there makes up for.
The property tax is not the value of your house.
I'm just saying, like, it's not that much.
The property tax is what, maybe 7
Plus,
points higher?
your house is, you got it when it was cheap.
That wasn't that long ago, man.
I know.
And it's just going to continue to go, which means the cost of living will continue to go.
Well,
and
it's
I'm not
going up
making any more
everywhere.
fucking money. No, it's not in these other places that I keep telling you about. It's not going up in Texas. It's not going up in the Northeast. It's not happening.
I don't know, man.
It's going up, but
I
not
don't know.
nearly at this clip.
Well,
Like,
I will
here
continue to selfishly convince you not to leave because if you leave, then I won't have any friends.
That's not true because, first of all, you told me that's why you're staying here.
Well,
You said I have friends
most
and
of my
family.
family, and I like living here. I like my job. And I
But you, like,
do not want to live in
literally
Texas.
an
My
hour-
best friend lives in Dallas.
An hour
and
ago,
I would rather live here.
An hour ago, you were like, my job doesn't pay me anything.
Yeah, it doesn't, but I still love it. It doesn't pay me
You
enough.
can get the same job in Texas.
I could. I could work for Southwest or American easily.
You could work remote for SkyWest.
I don't know. I don't think they'd go for that, but
We'll
maybe.
see.
Plus,
We'll see.
if I was going to move to
Just-
Texas, I would try to work for American or Southwest.
Nothing is permanent You see, this is the difference, though.
Yeah.
You lived in Texas.
I did. 20 years.
I've never lived anywhere but here.
That's true. You've never.
So please, for God's sake, move to Texas with me.
You know what? My best friend Louise convinced me to move to Utah, and you're kind of up in. You're pretty close at this point. You could try convincing me.
I'm going to continue to try,
but I don't know, man.
Kurt's there, and he's like, we like it. He's got kids my kid's age, and I trust his opinion. You know what? Let's use our flight benefits. Let's fly to Austin, drive to Kurt, and just spend some time.
Plus,
we can even go in the dead of summer if you want.
Don't forget about. Oh no.
No, to convince me.
Oh.
But Kurt has a pool. He's like, you get a house with a pool, then, and I'm looking, and I'm like, just with the equity in my house, I can buy a house with a pool.
Man, Killeen is a shitty place to live.
I can buy a house with a pool cash and not have a mortgage.
I don't know, man.
And you could buy a house with the equity you have in this one with a smaller mortgage.
Yeah, I doubt it. The mortgage rate right now with the if I were to have bought this house now, I wouldn't be able to afford it.
Do you know what rates were like in like the 80s?
Yeah,
They were like 13%.
I'm just saying that I don't think I could buy a house again at this point. I'm kind of stuck.
No, you could do it. It's just expensive here. It's expensive.
It's true. It's getting pretty annoying. Well, thanks. You'll keep me up another night here stressing about my future.
You are more than welcome to come. Oh, I was going to talk to you about France.
Oh, yeah?
Real quick, because this is an interesting story. I'm confused by it. Okay? France rules against burkini swimwear. Now, the burkini is the full-body swimwear for those who practice Islam for religious reasons. Okay? I'm like, well, that's an interesting headline. Let's look and see.
So they ruled against...
Yeah, just hear me out, okay? France's top administrative court ruled Tuesday against allowing body-covering burkini swimwear in public schools. I'm sorry, public pools for religious reasons, arguing that it violates the principle of government neutrality toward religion. Did you follow that? They are against allowing the burkini. Against allowing, effectively banning it.
But I thought they already did this.
They did, and it created storms, so they laid off.
Oh, and they're bringing it back?
Yeah, so here it is. The city of Grenoble, led by mayor from the Greens Party, voted last month to allow women to wear burkinis in public pools after campaigning by local activists. The city also voted to allow women to swim topless as part of the broader relaxation of swimmer rules. So this mayor's like, you can swim topless, you can swim in a burkini, I don't care.
Right.
Okay? But the Council of State upheld a move Tuesday, saying in a statement that Grenoble vote was made to satisfy a religious demand and harms the neutrality of public services. So this guy, the mayor, is like, I don't care what you wear. You can be nude, you can have burkini, I don't care.
Yeah.
And the top court is saying, no, you can't wear a burkini.
So weird.
I know. So I had to read it a few times. The Grenoble mayor argued that women should be able to wear what they want and express their religious conviction in pools like in the street. Opponents of the burkini, who include local officials from the far right but also the left, argued that the swimmer represents the oppression of women and a potential gateway to Islamic radicalism. So then they show their cards. If you're wearing that, first, here's two things. If you're wearing that swimwear, a burkini, one, it's because a man forced you to.
Right.
And two, it means that you're going to
So
bomb
that's
buildings.
their argument, is that they're trying to make it sound more liberal by saying it's oppressing women, when in reality it's well, I don't know. It's hard to say, but
A feminist group leader, her name is Fatima Bent, she said, while some women are forced by male relatives to cover themselves, she said Muslim women are not homogenous. French authorities look at Muslim women through a single prism. She blamed a leftover colonial-era fixation with the body of Muslim women by politicians who want to control them. Now, I kind of got to agree with her here. I don't understand telling how is it more freedom to tell a woman she can't wear a burkini? Sure, you might have some
I feel like
radicals,
they're
but-
passing a law trying to disguise it as being progressive,
Right.
but it's not.
It's super weird, right? Like,
Also, why are there any laws about what you can wear, period?
ah,
That's really dumb.
no, it is weird. Like, I don't know. I just have, it's like a weird one. Like,
You know-
can't wear it because if you wear that, the next thing we know, you're going to be like putting
The
on
only
a suicide
reason
vest.
the only reason that we make people wear clothes as the law is because the only people that wouldn't wear clothes are the people you wouldn't want. It's not like
Right.
it's not like the best looking people are going to be walking around without clothes. It's going
Right.
to be your Uncle Joe, who's 900 pounds, and
So Emmanuel Macron, the president there, he said the ruling was aimed at protecting Republican values from what his government calls the threat of religious extremism. I just don't listen. If you're going to have religious extremism, it's already there, bro.
Yeah, it's not going to make
what someone wears while they're at the
we
city
we
pool.
firmly believe that not allowing this will stop terrorism. We've tried everything else. We've tried attacking it. We lost in Afghanistan. Things haven't gone well. This is where the buck stops. This is how we're going to fight terrorism.
We made the mistake of siding with America again.
America's never done anything for us.
Shit, man.
That's weird.
It's a weird one. It's a weird one.
I feel like this wouldn't even happen here.
No.
Yet.
You want to...
You know, this would happen.
They're going to force
This would
women
happen
to
in
wear
Killeen, Texas.
Well, I don't want to live in Killeen. I want to live near Killeen.
There's nowhere near Killeen.
I'll show you. I'll show you. It's a big, big state. It's a big state.
Hey, I've heard there's a nice spot in Waco.
Hey, Waco's
There's
actually a
some
nice town.
open land there.
Waco's a nice place. Got a bad rap because of one dude.
I've
and
been to
actually,
Waco. It is
really-
not a nice place.
Really, it's because of the DEA.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because of...
Well,
not
I
because
have
of
been
Dan
wanting to start a
Koresh.
religion, so I guess that would be...
No.
Actually, I'd prefer the FLDS site. Where's that at?
Colorado City. They probably
No,
have-
the one in Texas.
Oh, they probably have something. That's near the border with Mexico.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Remember, because a bunch of them were killed by a Mexican gang a couple years back.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
The Romneys.
I think that was really their name, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just know the Romneys do have his Mexican heritage.
Oh.
Also, there's a joke about it in Arrested Development.
Right. All right, cool. Well, that's it.
Well, I was real quick, since we're talking about hats, I'm wearing this new hat here.
Yeah, I like
and
it.
I've always worn these hats before, but my head is so big, and, this isn't one of those things where I expect people to say, no. It is really big,
big
and
head.
it's kind of weird shaped, and hats don't always fit it right, because the hat will fit, but what hat makers don't typically do is make a bigger brim. So you've got this, tiny brim around this giant hat. But I found a hat maker on Amazon that makes extra large hats, so this brim is actually oversized.
All
It's
right.
bigger.
Is this a custom hat?
It's not custom,
But it's big.
but it's bigger, and I like it. It
Yep.
seems to be working
No, I
well.
like it. I told you earlier. It reminds me of Spencer.
I used to wear these all the time.
That's why.
But they shrunk or something. I don't know.
Right.
My head
No,
got
your
bigger.
head got bigger.
But I was the other day. I was on TikTok, and I saw a video about custom hats. And there are a few companies that still make
It's like top hats.
yeah, custom cowboy hats or
hats,
top
yeah.
hats or bucket hats. And the whole process is cool, but what I found the most fascinating, I just sent you this video, and I think you've seen it too, is the contraption they use called the hat conformator. And I don't believe you can buy these new. They are all super old, and they also look like ancient torture devices.
Okay, let's look.
But what it is it's a hat, and it has all these.
I think it's on. Turn my volume
Inserts a
up there.
piece of paper into the
Yeah.
conformator.
So there's a
and locks the
little
top
piece of
part in
paper at the
place.
top that locks it, and then you put it on your head.
Okay.
It punches
And
dots in the paper
and
that
there's all these
outline
little
the
wooden things
exact
that
head shape.
conform to
Jay
the
uses
on
the paper
springs
to
that
calibrate
conform
the other sizing
to
tool
the piece
before
the roundness of your head.
Okay.
He adjusts
And then when you
each of the
snap
wooden
down,
keys
it
to
punches
match the cutout.
the things punch holes in
Like
this
a-
little
Then he
piece of
puts this
paper.
inside
Almost
the
like a
hat.
stencil, but not really a stencil.
Yeah,
it's more
of
of
your
Oh, you know
head.
what it's like?
Brush.
It's like one of the things with all the nails that you put your face in.
Yeah, kind of.
Nails is a
Sort
bad
of,
word,
yeah.
The little pins, and it kind of outlines your
But
face.
but it makes this tiny piece of paper up at the
Tiny
top.
piece.
It's a tiny diagram of your head, and I was like, well, how the hell does this work?
Right.
Then they put it in this other thing, and then they move all these wooden blocks to fit the pattern, and that becomes the mold for the hat.
Right.
So it fits your head like perfectly.
Like a glove.
Yeah. Anyway, look up hat conformator.
Or Vermilion. Isn't that what they called it a second ago?
Yeah, it could be.
Let's look.
And check out this
4 million.
this piece of equipment that's like hundreds of years old, or at least 100 years old.
It looks like something you'd find in
I just can't believe how smart this technology is.
Right.
Like I would have never thought to come up with something like this.
Yeah, like London Tower.
Yeah.
It looks like
yeah.
looks like something to squeeze someone's head with.
It does look like torture.
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
It must fit just fantastic.
I would assume.
Huh.
Anyway, custom hat making is one of those like kind of relaxing, cool things to watch on TikTok.
It's like a nature show.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
All right, long episode. I thought we'd had nothing, but here we are again.
Always ends up
here
that
we
way.
are.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. Today's show was produced by Spencer and recorded by Spencer, and I was an assistant director. You can find us at the Artake Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, or theartakepodcast.com, where you can see some of Spencer's shirt designs and other merch. Go check it out. For episode 129, I'm Bryan.
I'm Spencer. See you next time.